Known as the god of death of Konoha, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176, Unexplained Coolie. At the door of the dormitory, under the gaze of several people, the trembling Hatake Kakashi had no clean place on his body, which was covered with footprints. Including the black mask, it was covered with 3 footprints, and the dead fish eyes turned into a slit. On the back of Hatake Kakashi, there was Tachibana Yukiyo, who took in less air and exhaled more. Fuck. Uchiha Shisu and others rushed up quickly. Seeing that Tachibana Yukiyo was safe and sound, everyone was relieved. But Uchiha Obito was different. He mocked Hatake Kakashi. It was as if he wanted to vent all the resentment of being ridiculed by Hatake Kakashi since he was a child. But who is Hatake Kakashi? Several electric nets of lightning attribute chakra wrapped around Uchiha Obito. Because Hatake Kakashi knew the ability of Uchiha Obito's Sharingan. No matter where Uchiha Obito went, he would wrap Uchiha Obito tightly. He did not give Uchiha Obito any chance to attack until his eyes became sore. Although he was not worried about the problem of pupil power consumption, he still needed the support of chakra. With a large amount of chakra consumed, Uchiha Obito finally showed a flaw, and Hatake Kakashi finally got his wish and electrocuted Uchiha Obito, causing him to emit a faint meaty fragrance. The total amount of chakra of Hatake Kakashi now is twice that of Uchiha Obito. Sarutobi Asuma silently ran to find Nohararin. After Nohararin heard Sarutobi Asuma's account of what had just happened, she hurried out of the dormitory to treat Hatake Kakashi, Uchiha Obito and Tachibana Yukiyo. Under Nohararin's scolding, Uchiha Obito finally calmed down. Uchiha Shisu looked at the 3 people who were injured on the first day and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Just when the dragon group was carrying out devilish training in full swing, an organization appeared in the ninja world. They specially recruit powerful rebel ninjas. They are extremely powerful. No matter what mission they accept, they will complete it 100%. The black-red cloud costumes are impressive. The name of this organization is Zero. No one knows the leader behind it. They only know that it is very scary and is said to be at the level of Cage. In 3 months, the ninja world has undergone earth-shaking changes. Under the management of Nerahirakoa, the Bai family consortium has covered all industries with huge capital injections, but it has just begun. The principle proposed by Bai Yu is innovation. Bai Yu will definitely not rob the business of the natives. If he robs it, the natives will probably march again and complain to Minato Namikaze. Therefore, Bai Yu is based on the original foundation and grasps his own characteristics. For example, for food, he wants new food, not cooking, ramen, etc. The country where Bai Yu lived in his previous life is a country with 8 major cuisines. Isn't the food of each major cuisine delicious? For example, drinks, the juices and other drinks that the natives already have are not considered. Isn't pearl milk tea delicious? Silky taste, sweet smell, isn't it welcome? For example, the sake of the natives is as light as water. Fruit wine is sour and sweet, delicious and not intoxicating. Isn't it loved by ladies who love to drink? For example, homemade rice wine has a pure taste. After a sip, the whole person feels warm. For example, a small pot of wine, scald it with hot water and drink it. Isn't it strong? Under the Bai group, the technology industry has spread all over the ninja world, including the Mist Village that implements the Blood Mist policy, and finally couldn't help but take over Bai Yu's technology industry. The food industry still hasn't entered the Mist Village. The food industry has begun to advance in Konoha. Bai Yu found a piece of fertile land outside the Konoha village and established the Bai group's vegetable and fruit production base. He hired Konoha's ninjas to protect it. Why should we go to other places to find third-rate ninjas when we have Konoha? Regarding this matter of generating income for Konoha, Namikaze Minato naturally agreed happily. Not only that, Bai Yu also found a better place to build a livestock farm. Meat products. Bai's consortium also entered the Konoha market. Of course, Bai Yu will not monopolize, but just be the first person to eat crabs. Following Bai Yu's actions, some people with delicate minds and strength also followed Bai Yu's steps. Whatever Bai Yu did, as long as they had the strength, they would follow him. For a time, Konoha's economy rose, and the 50 young ninjas who had been tortured for 3 months finally realized why the Dragon Group was so powerful, why the Dragon Group was so united, and finally understood what the so-called Dragon Soul was. And Bai Yu looked at the 50 teenagers who were free and easy, full of calmness, and not youth, and felt a sense of emotion in his heart. 50 young ninjas also put on the light armor of the Dragon Group. Not Haralin and Yuhi Kuno's light armor was special. In the entire Dragon Group, except Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto, there were only these 2 girls. After 3 months of training, everyone was finally liberated. Just take 3 tasks every month. If you are short of money, you can take 1 task every day. Moreover, as the representative of Konoha's highest combat power, the Dragon Group is well paid for carrying out missions, and the merit points of the Dragon Group are also very valuable. A week later, however, the days are too peaceful now. Although there are disputes, it is much better than the war years. Bai Yu thought of an idea when he first established the Dragon Group. After having a simple breakfast and drinking tea at home, he thought about his ideas carefully. Then he went directly to Minato Namikaze's office. He saw several piles of documents like a mountain on Minato Namikaze's desk. He couldn't help but feel a little fortunate. Fortunately, he didn't become a Hokage. Minato Namikaze showed 2 pairs of eyes from a gap in the pile of documents, glanced at Bai Yu, then stood up and walked towards Bai Yu. Minato Namikaze's eyes were full of red bloodshot. Oh my god, Minato, you didn't stay up all night, did you? Bai Yu and Minato Namikaze sat at the reception table next to him, and Bai Yu asked curiously, a whole night? A whole night is enough for me to celebrate. I've been here for 4 days. If you had come 4 days earlier, you wouldn't have been able to get in. Did you see the 3-pronged kune on my chair? Namikaze Minato looked helpless and pointed at the chair. Bai Yu saw a kune stuck in the back of the chair. 5 days ago, I asked someone to bring all the documents that needed to be processed. As a result, I couldn't get out. The whole room was full. I had no choice but to put a kune in the toilet, on the chair, and in the cafeteria. Bai Yu clearly felt the resentment coming from Namikaze Minato, and this resentment was towards the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen. Do you want me to help you? Bai Yu regretted it after saying this. Namikaze Minato's eyes burst into a searchlight-like light. Namikaze Minato pulled a stool for Bai Yu, and the 2 began to process the documents. There was no sound in the whole office, only the sound of flipping through documents and writing. Either agree or leave mark for modification. Bai Yu really wanted to use the shadow clone technique, but Minato Namikaze said that the shadow clones all have different personalities and cannot be used to process documents. Then Bai Yu continued to process the documents himself. Chapter 177 6 Confused Questions. The next day, Minato Namikaze couldn't help it, so he fell on the sofa and fell asleep. Minato Namikaze slept for a whole day, and every day a small pile of documents would be delivered to the office. When the staff saw that Minato Namikaze had fallen asleep, they didn't say anything, but consciously handed the documents to Bai Yu, and Bai Yu tried his best to calm his desire to kill and took the documents. Bai Yu was very fast. When Minato Namikaze woke up, Bai Yu had fallen asleep on another sofa, looking at the empty desk in the rising sun. Minato Namikaze felt the beauty of rebirth for the first time. Minato Namikaze was very considerate and covered Bai Yu with his cloak of the 4th Hokage. At this moment, the door of the office opened. Minato Namikaze saw Kushina and quickly made a gesture of silence. Seeing Bai Yu fall into a deep sleep, Minato Namikaze knew that Bai Yu had just fallen asleep for a while. Pull Kushina to the corridor. Close the door quietly. I'm sorry, Kushina, for leaving you alone at home for so long. Although Minato Namikaze had slept all day, his face was still a little tired, and there was still some red bloodshot in his eyes. Although Kushina had a bad temper and was not gentle, she was a woman after all, and her mind was still very delicate. Have you been in the office these days? Kushina asked softly. To be honest, Kushina felt a little distressed. Yes. If it weren't for you, I guess I would have to work here for several days. With Yu's help, I couldn't be freed so early. There are really too many documents piled up, and I only took a break these few days. Minato Namikaze said with emotion. I said it. I thought. You became bad after becoming Hokage. The second half of the sentence was said by Kushina in her heart, but knowing the truth, Kushina only felt distressed. What did you think? Minato Namikaze asked in a daze. Nothing. I thought you were dealing with an emergency and haven't been home for so long. Here, I brought you breakfast. Kushina smiled and put a lunchbox in front of Minato Namikaze. Kushina, you are so nice. Minato Namikaze kissed Kushina's forehead and said gently, ahem. At this time, a cough sounded next to him. Kushina quickly handed the lunchbox in her hand to Minato Namikaze and lowered her head with a blush. Minato Namikaze saw the person coming. It was Bai Cheng. So he smiled and said, King Cheng, why are you here? Sorry, I disturbed you. Haha. I came to deliver breakfast to my brother. My two sisters-in-law have to take care of the children. So I will deliver breakfast. Bai Cheng raised the lunchbox in her hand and then thought of the scene in the morning, which made Bai Cheng deeply feel the love of the two sisters-in-law for Bai Yu. The scene went back to the morning. Konoha Casino. Today, I will kill everyone. Bai Cheng's charming face was full of gambler's spirit. The charming arms were shaking the dice crazily. On the gambling table, the gamblers were concentrating on the dice cups. Just when Bai Cheng was about to fall, bang, there was a loud noise, and a figure hit the gambling table hard. Everyone was shocked. The one who hit the gambling table was a drunkard, and in the distance, a beautiful figure with long blonde hair. The big fat sheep is here. The long lost big fat sheep is back. Hurry up. Make room for the big fat sheep. I can finally make a lot of money today. But what amazed everyone was that Bai Cheng, your brother is busy in the Hokage building. Mikoto and I have to take care of the children. Go and bring breakfast to your brother. It has been a few days. Your brother is used to the food cooked by Mikoto, and he doesn't eat anything else except skewers. This is a lunchbox. If you don't bring it to your brother, even if you are strong, I will let you know the majesty of your sister-in-law. Tsunade came to Bai Cheng domineeringly, put a lunchbox in front of her, and then left in a cool manner. Big fat sheep actually quit gambling? Oh my god. The point is, big fat sheep is so virtuous. Oh my god. If I had known, I would have tried harder and got big fat sheep. Come on. You know what big fat sheep did? Just look at this drunkard, and you will know. He must be attracted by her beauty. I don't know how much he drank to dare to have a lustful heart towards big fat sheep. His chest cavity collapsed. He breathes in less and breathes out more. I guarantee that this guy won't live long. Bai Cheng smiled at Tsunade's back as she left, not caring about Tsunade's attitude at all, because she is a good sister-in-law. Bai Cheng did not take her own money, but picked up the lunchbox and sent breakfast to Bai Yu. She did not care about the gamblers behind her who started a fight over money. Back to normal time progress. Your brother is in there, but before Minato Namikaze could finish, he felt unwell when he saw Bai Cheng's actions. Bang, Bai Cheng opened the door violently. Brother, I'm here to bring you food. Although Bai Cheng was very pleased and happy to have a good sister-in-law, after all, her moment of enjoyment was interrupted, and this resentment naturally turned to Bai Yu. Namikaze Minato pulled Kushina and hurried over. Bai Yu was sleeping soundly, but a loud noise made the sleeping Bai Yu think that he was still in the war years. He subconsciously touched his waist because the Bai Yu sword was in this position. But Bai Yu didn't touch it. How could he touch it? It was simply placed at home. Sage mode suddenly appeared. A long sword condensed with dark purple chakra appeared in his hand. A wave of his hand was a powerful sword energy. Cut the tea table and sofa in the office into two halves. The momentum did not decrease, and he chopped Bai Cheng directly. Brother, are you going to kill me? Although Bai Cheng's strength had recovered a lot at this time, because he and Bai Yu traveled together, his strength had not recovered to the peak, while Bai Yu's strength was progressing rapidly. Bai Cheng released an ice wall, struggling to resist Bai Yu's sword energy, and shouted angrily. Bai Yu was completely awake after hearing this voice. Fuck. Bai Yu quickly dissipated the sword energy. King Cheng? Minato? Kushina? Why are you here? Where are the enemies? Have they been eliminated? Bai Yu faded from the sage mode and quickly observed whether Bai Cheng was injured. Then he asked 6 confused questions. Namikaze Minato looked at the messy office without saying a word and smiled helplessly. Kushina didn't say anything either, because in her eyes this was a very funny scene. Namikaze Minato was actually very happy in his heart. Although the sofa and tea table were broken, it was rare to see Bai Yu in a confused state. What enemy? I came to bring you food with good intentions, but you hit me. Baking Cheng started a performance at the level of an actor. Although he was shocked in his heart, he also knew that it was because he opened the door violently. But I was wronged. I was the one who was bullied. What can you do to me? Exclamation mark. Humph. That's not right. I clearly heard a loud noise. How could it be? Huh. Right. Wasn't I helping Minato with the documents? Am I dreaming? Bai Yu frowned and said thoughtfully. You actually dreamed of hitting me. Woo woo. I just came to bring you breakfast. What loud noise? There was no sound. Woo woo. Baking Cheng's performance amazed both Namikaze Minato and Kushina. Chapter 178 Annual Ninja Elite Competition. Although Baking Cheng acted very well as an old hand, Bai Yu, who gradually sobered up, did observe a different emotion. Everyone, Minato Namikaze, was gloating, while Kushina was watching the show. Looking at Baking Cheng again, although she hid it well, Bai Yu accurately caught a trace of inner turmoil. Bai Yu glanced at the door and immediately understood. Because there was nothing in the office that could make a loud noise except the door. Ah, King Cheng, you were too strong just now. The door is about to fall. Catch it quickly, don't break it. Bai Yu pretended to be surprised and said to the office door. Bai Yu's sudden words made Minato Namikaze and Kushina look at the office door nervously. It's impossible. I didn't use much force. It's just a little stronger than normal. Although the sound is a little louder, it won't break. Baking Cheng also looked at the office door with a nervous face. However, the door was so flawless. Baking Cheng reacted instantly. Bai Yu was shaking her. Put the lunchbox away. HMPH. You stinky old man. My sisters-in-law asked me to bring you breakfast. I'm leaving now. After saying that, Baking Cheng left angrily. Really, you stinky old man is so cunning. I wanted to blackmail him. Really? After the little fuss in the morning, I had breakfast with Minato Namikaze and Kushina. Bai Yu told Minato Namikaze his idea. Minato, I want to organize a competition. Bai Yu said. What competition? It's the Elite Ninja competition. Although it's peaceful now, we can't be happy every day. We should be prepared for danger in times of peace. Let the ninjas be full of crisis and peacetime. And the ranking of the competition is just right. Who doesn't want to be an elite ninja? Moreover, only the top 3 will have generous rewards. If you want to stand out and want to go higher on the ninja road, this competition is also a good way out. Bai Yu said. This is really good. It can also inspire young ninjas to improve their strength. Minato Namikaze's eyes lit up and nodded. What is the generous reward? Kushina asked. At this moment, Kushina has already thought of getting rich through the competition. At most, I can have a few children. If Bai Yu knew this idea, he would definitely look at Minato Namikaze with sympathy. As a Hokage, he can't dress well. Well. First place, 50 million taels of banknotes. Ask me to customize 2 ninjutsu and get a special ninja tool of the dragon group, tailor-made. Second place, 30 million taels of banknotes. Ask me to customize a ninjutsu and get a special ninjutsu of the dragon group, tailor-made. Third place, 10 million taels of banknotes and get a special ninjutsu of the dragon group, tailor-made. Bai Yu said. This kind of reward is only you can afford. The title of Konoha's richest man is really luxurious. The most valuable thing here is to ask you to customize a ninjutsu. Namikaze Minato looked at Bai Yu and said. In order to have outstanding ninjas to contribute to Konoha, what can I do? Bai Yu said the truth. Now Bai Yu has regarded Konoha as his home, so for the sake of his family, what's the big deal? Anyway, it's not a big deal to have this little money, or 1 or 2 ninjutsu. If pressed, Bai Yu can completely turn the Hokage's office into a scripture storage. Ahem, a ninjutsu storage. Is this kind of competition only held once? Asked Minato Namikaze. On the side, Kushina was already calculating that if she had 3 children, the top 3 would be 90 million taels, and she was already calculating where to spend the money. As for ninjutsu and ninja tools, Kushina chose to ignore them. I will only customize ninjutsu for the first 3 sessions. Later, I will record all the ninjutsu in the seal reel. You can choose it yourself when the time comes. It will be held once a year. Let's set it on August 1st every year. The annual Ninja Elite competition. It is mainly aimed at young ninjas under the age of 18. They are divided into 3 lists of heaven, earth and man, corresponding to Genin, Chunin and Jonin. What I just said is the Shianlu reward. Bai Yu said, okay, I'll do it. The Bai group is the sponsor. This is a matter of brushing merits to benefit Konoha. As the Hokage, Minato Namikaze should take the responsibility. That's what I thought, haha. After a pleasant chat with Minato Namikaze for a while, he went home to sleep. Baking Cheng's actions, coupled with a chat with Minato Namikaze for a while, made him a little sleepy. When Bai Yu left, Kushina said to Minato Namikaze, Minato, can we hold it in a few years? Minato Namikaze was a little confused, looking at Kushina and asked, why? For this kind of competition, isn't it better to hold it as soon as possible? Look, we get married this year and have a child. It will take several years to graduate from the ninja school. During this period, we have more children and train them with all our strength. After that, we can take the top 3 in each list. How much money will that cost? Kushina said, with little stars in her eyes. Kushina, don't be like this. You know, there are people better than you. Even if we let our children participate, they may not be able to take the top 3. Minato Namikaze said helplessly, covering his forehead. So, we should have more children, so that the chances are greater. Kushina said seriously. Minato Namikaze felt a headache. Kushina, this is not good for your health. But how long have you not looked at my salary passbook? Namikaze Minato's eyes flashed, and he thought of a countermeasure. It's been several months. What I'm spending now is the money we saved from the previous missions, and the dividends from Konoha Chuanxiang. I don't know why Konoha Chuanxiang doesn't send us money anymore. Besides, isn't your passbook in the bank? I have to deposit money for you regularly. Kushina said. It's like this, I don't think it's necessary to let our child participate in the competition for money. Because you and I have recreated several projects before, and with the establishment of the Bai group, in order to save trouble, the projects we cooperated with you are all deposited in my card. Moreover, the money I save every month should be several times more than what I earn from participating in the competition. You can go and take a look. Namikaze Minato said with a smile. Really? Then I'll go and take a look. If it's really like what you said, then there's really no need to let the child participate in this competition. After Kushina finished speaking, she rushed to the bank. Namikaze Minato breathed a sigh of relief. If this was really done as Kushina said, Namikaze Minato couldn't help but touch his waist. As expected, Kushina ran to the bank and saw the balance of Namikaze Minato's account. She immediately gave up all her previous thoughts. Instead, she took out a large sum of money and started her big move. First, she ran to Namikaze Minato and told him to use the Flying Thunder God technique to teleport back home at night. Then she ran away in a hurry. Chapter 179. A training frenzy sweeps Konoha. Because of the birth of a child, Bai Yu hired workers to renovate his home during the time he lived in the Senju ancestral house. He made the house a little bigger, a standard 2-story villa. Although the yard is a little small, it does not affect Bai Yu's teaching of his apprentices, and he does not need to exercise every day like before. Now Bai Yu's way of cultivation is just to feel. Just when Bai Yu was sleeping comfortably on the 2nd floor, he heard the neighbors next door making various sounds of ding dong, as well as the sound of swinging a sledgehammer and knocking on the wall. Bai Yu looked at the ceiling with a dark face for a while. Helplessly, Bai Yu sat cross-legged with his eyes closed and concentrated. Circulate the chakra in the body. Flowing through the meridians, the body's sage mode emerged, and a purple halo emanated from the body. After a while, Bai Yu came down from upstairs in high spirits. He saw Tsunade holding Bai Yu in the living room, and Uchiha Mikoto holding Baiki and Kushina sitting together, eating desserts and chatting. Kushina is here. Bai Yu smiled and greeted. Honey, why don't you take a nap? By the way, Kushina has moved. She's moving next door. We'll be neighbors from now on. Uchiha Mikoto asked with concern, and then said with a smile. Bai Yu was just about to say that he would go see what was going on next door because it was disturbing me, so I couldn't sleep, but after hearing the second half of Uchiha Makoto's words, Bai Yu forced himself to hold back his words. Fortunately, he didn't say it. That's great. We can have a barbecue anytime in the future. I won't sleep anymore. I remember that I need to go to Minato for something. Bai Yu said with a smile. Ah, when will you be back? Uchiha Makoto asked. I'll be back soon, and I'll tell you something. We'll have a barbecue tonight to celebrate Kushina and Namikaze Minato's move. Bai Yu said with a smile and left. Tsunade and the other two girls chatted for a while and then started to prepare the ingredients. Bai Yu didn't need to say anything because the women knew what was going on. Bai Yu found Minato and told him that if the 8 of Uchiha Shizu signed up, he would refuse. If the 8 of them participated in the competition, wouldn't it be bullying? Moreover, the 8 of them were so strong. Take Nohara, who has the lowest combat power, for example. With the training route tailored by Bai Yu for Nohara, she would surpass Tsunade's strange power and would be so powerful that anyone would be stunned. Moreover, Bai Yu remodeled Tsunade's yin seal. In the past, according to Tsunade's idea, it took a lot of chakra to maintain a youthful appearance. However, after Bai Yu's upgrade, this defect was optimized. With the operation of chakra, the yin seal will automatically store chakra. Although the amount of chakra stored is very small, it can't withstand the storage every moment. Of course, this is not an overdraft of hundreds of trillion cells. How could this happen with Bai Yu? The specific author is not Bai Yu, and I don't know how Bai Yu did it. Anyway, he made this technique perfect. If you want to know, you can ask Bai Yu. With the help of Bai Yu, Tachibana Yukayo perfectly unlocked the power of blood. The most intuitive change is emotional intelligence. The previous Tachibana Yukayo was a bit stupid and very fierce. When Bai Yu completely unlocked the blood power of Tachibana Yukayo, his IQ regained its high ground, and his EQ was very high. Although he was still young, he was definitely better than Uchiha Obito. Needless to say, Hatake Kakashi was a standard straight man. As for Might Guy, he was a titanium steel straight man. What a waste of his tough guy appearance. But Uchiha Shizu seemed to be in trouble. He had an ambiguous relationship with a little girl named Uchiha Nanako from the Minato clan. Of course, Bai Yu didn't know about this. If he knew, he would definitely tease the two of them. In the evening, to celebrate the housewarming of Minato, Namikaze and Kushina, Bai Yu directly sent Baiki and Baiyo to Kushina's house and played games with Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto all night. Anyway, Kushina and Minato Namikaze were fine, and the couple was quite happy to take care of the two little guys occasionally. Under the control of Minato Namikaze, the young ninjas of Konoha are all gearing up. There were some vacant training grounds originally, but now young ninjas who are training enthusiastically can be seen everywhere. And the number is increasing day by day. This scene made Minato Namikaze very bold to expand Konoha! And he circled a lot of free training grounds. The Dragon Group base, which was originally far away from Konoha village, can now run a few hundred meters into the village. Moreover, there are not only the 3 lists of heaven, earth and man in the elite ninja competition, but also the god list. The god list is the ninjas above the quasi-cage level. Don't think that Konoha doesn't seem to have much higher level combat power on weekdays. But this statistic shocked Minato Namikaze. It may also be because of Bai Yu that this world has changed. Quasi-cage level ninjas, the patriarchs of various families, and the elders of various families. Of course, elders, can't they be called elders if they are not old enough? This doesn't need to be counted. The patriarchs of various families. The Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan, Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hayashi, these two guys quietly upgraded to the level of cage. If it weren't for Bai Yu's eyes, I really wouldn't know that these two guys hid so deeply. There is also Hyuga Hayashi, in the online cage level strongman. Apart from those 3 guys, there are Jiraiya, Hatake Tsukumo, and Tsunade. Speaking of this, Tsunade was able to upgrade to the level of cage. It was really Bai Yu's huge strength. After Bai Yu awakened the dragon body, he directly upgraded the strength of Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto. How to upgrade is up to your imagination. Uchiha Makoto is now the strength of an elite jonin. It goes without saying that Namikaze Minato, without the strength of Cage, can't be the Hokage, but Namikaze Minato has only broken through the Cage level not long ago. However, with the very powerful ninjutsu Flying Thunder God Slash, Namikaze Minato's strength should not be underestimated, and there is also the Rasengan that Namikaze Minato has been studying hard. Bai Yu, needless to say, is a cheater. Although Bai Yu's original strength has just broken through the Cage level, his real combat power is comparable to that of a super Cage level strongman. In other words, in addition to the battles of the three lists of heaven, earth and man, there is also a battle of the god list in this ninja elite competition. Of course, when it comes to the god list, there is no age. As long as you dare to challenge, come. There is no reward, only supreme glory. Of course, all members of the dragon group were ordered by Bai Yu not to participate in this event. They just came here to be security guards. The strength of the dragon group is not easy to determine. If you want to talk about the heaven list, first, the age is over, and then the strength is a bit far-fetched to participate in the god list. However, in order to satisfy the warlike members of the dragon group, Bai Yu launched 3 internal competitions. The first one was the old dragon group members, the second one was the newly promoted 50 dragon group members, and the third one was the new and old confrontation. Whoever is dissatisfied with whoever, or whoever wants to compete with whoever, just go and fight. No matter which game it is, Bai Yu said that he would use all means. No one can die with him. For a time, the whole Konoha was boiling, and a training frenzy was set off. Some do it for money, some do it for ninjutsu, and some do it for glory. Chapter 180 Bai Yu's Generosity. August 1st. The weather is bright and clear in autumn. The spotlight is on everyone. For this competition, Bai Yu spent a lot of money and built an extremely huge stadium in a vacant lot that appeared after the new expansion of Konoha. This stadium can seat 10,000 people, and this stadium was also built for hosting competitions in the future. Not only the Ninja Elite competition, but any competition can be held here, as long as it is needed and meets the standards. Ladies and gentlemen, on this bright and clear day in autumn, we finally ushered in the first Konoha Elite competition. I wonder if everyone is looking forward to this competition? Please tell me with applause and screams. The host is Inuzuka River. Bai Yu is helpless about this funny guy. However, the audience in the venue recognized Inuzuka River very much, and the cheers and applause were like thunder. The first thing to do was the ranking competition of the Elite competition. The ring is divided into many areas. The first is the elimination round, then the promotion round, to compete for the top 16, then the top 8 in the top 16, the top 4, the semi-finals, and the finals. This competition lasts for 6 days. In the morning, the human ranking is held, at noon, the earth ranking is held, and in the afternoon, the heaven ranking is held simultaneously. However, most of the audiences of the human ranking and the earth ranking are the parents of the contestants, because there is no gold content. What gorgeous battles do you want for the lower and middle ninjas? The heaven ranking is different. The battles of the Jonins are not only gorgeous in ninjutsu, but also the perseverance of the ninjas is fully reflected in the Jonins. Almost every battle can make everyone want more. Bai Yu, Namikaze Minato, Hatake Tsukumo, Nerushikaku, Akimichi Choza, Yamanaka Inoichi, Uchiha Fugaku, Hyuga Hayashi, Hyuga Hisashi, Aburame Shiwai, Inuzuka Tail, Tsunade, Uchiha Makoto, Uzumaki Kushina, even Jiraiya, whose whereabouts are always erratic, came, as well as Baking Cheng, who was captured by Bai Yu, and of course the patriarch of the Tachibana Yui clan who has just joined Konoha, Tachibana Yui Musashi. Bai Yu had some opinions about the characters of Daizangzi, but when he saw Tachibana Yui Musashi, Bai Yu felt comfortable. Now Bai Yu can be sure that the characters of Daizangzi are not necessarily asterisk. Beiki and Baiyao are taken care of by Bai Yu's 7 apprentices at home. It can be seen how high the attention of this event is. Bai Yu sat on the high platform. As a senior executive of Konoha, he naturally had his own position. This position can watch the fights of all the contestants very well. The reason why everyone came back is because of the god list. Uchiha Makoto naturally came to watch the excitement. She doesn't like fighting. She has a gentle personality and is gentle and considerate. The reason why Jiraiya came was because Bai Yu ruined Jiraiya's good thing of collecting folk songs when he was looking for Jiraiya. Just when Jiraiya was full of dissatisfaction, Bai Yu offered to pay for Jiraiya to build a hot spring bath. Jiraiya was so excited that his eyes were about to pop out, and he agreed at that time. And Jiraiya's hot spring bath is already under construction. Not to mention, in the process of the fight, there are indeed many good seedlings standing out. In a blink of an eye, 6 days have passed. The top spot on the heaven ranking was taken by a young man from the Uchiha clan. The top spot on the earth ranking was taken by a young man from the Hyuga clan. And the top spot on the human ranking was taken by a ninja from a civilian family named Moonlight Gale. The second place was named Yuzuki Yugeo, a girl. When Bai Yu awarded the award to Moonlight Gale, Bai Yu could tell at a glance that the child was not a human. He could tell that the child was not a normal person. He was sick. It's okay now, but as the condition continues to worsen, it will become more and more serious. Bai Yu couldn't bear such a good seedling because the talent could not bloom because of the disease. So, in full view of the public, Bai Yu released a ball of rich green chakra with both hands, penetrating into the color of emerald, purifying Moonlight Gale's cells. At the same time, under the majestic healing power, the body that was originally tortured by illness and inconsistent with age, under Bai Yu's treatment, recovered health. Moonlight Gale did not speak, but his eyes were full of gratitude. Although he had the same dead fish eyes as Hatake Kakashi, Bai Yu could feel the emotions in his eyes. Work hard, kid. I'm counting on you. Don't let my efforts today go to waste. Bai Yu patted Moonlight Gale's shoulder and wiped the sweat from his forehead. After all, purifying cells is a huge project that consumes not only chakra but also mind. Moonlight Gale saw Bai Yu wiping his sweat, and he was extremely grateful in his heart. I will work hard to repay Lord Bai Yu for his kindness today, Moonlight Gale said solemnly. Bai Yu smiled approvingly and continued the award ceremony without saying anything. Bai Yu didn't know what kind of myth today's action had created. Mao Yuziyan, who was standing aside, was so excited that tears were about to flow down. As Moonlight Gale's childhood sweetheart, how could she not know about Moonlight Gale's body? Today, Bai Yu helped Moonlight Gale heal, and Mao Yuziyan was even more excited than Moonlight Gale. In the end, in full view of everyone, Mao Yuziyan actually kissed Yu Guang Jifeng, then hugged Yu Guang Jifeng, and said excitedly, Jifeng, you are finally well. Finally well. Finally you don't have to worry about the pain in your body. Ziyan, calm down, you are still on the podium. Yu Guang Jifeng was suddenly kissed by Mao Yuziyan, and a hint of red glow appeared on her sick face. Mao Yuziyan panicked when she heard this, and quickly stood up, blushing and lowering her head, playing with the corner of her clothes. Bai Yu couldn't help but smile when he saw this. Young love, it's great. At such a young age. Ahem. It's great. Next, it's time for Bai Yu to fulfill his promise. That is ninjutsu. In full view of everyone, Bai Yu asked the staff to take out the long table and blank scrolls that had been prepared long ago. Tailor-made ninjutsu for the ninja who won the reward. The first place on the heavenly ranking was Uchiha Lanxiang of the Uchiha clan, with dual attributes of wind and fire. Bai Yu thought for a moment, and in the demonstration area next to him, he released the first ninjutsu fire style, Flame Explosion. This is a to-attack ninjutsu. The first attack was to spurt out hot flames from his mouth. The flames first raged like a fire snake, ravaging a large area of space in front of him, with the same impact as a missile explosion. Then the flames did not disappear, but turned into flames burning a certain range of space. For the second attack, after the flames covered the space, Bai Yu made two seals with his hands. The originally burning flames began to boil, and the high temperature in an instant reached the level that could melt iron. Boom. Accompanied by a loud bang, a mushroom cloud suddenly rose. The hot air waves made Uchiha Lanxiang's eyes hot. This ninjutsu is really too powerful. Then Bai Yu wrote the ninjutsu on the scroll, and then began to conceive the next ninjutsu. This time it was a ninjutsu with wind attributes. Bai Yu came to the demonstration area again, and when the ninjutsu was displayed, everyone was boiling! Exclamation mark. Because this ninjutsu can fly. It's incredible. In fact, the principle is very simple, that is, to use the power of the wind, to build a wind wall under your feet, and then use the power of the wind to lift yourself up, slightly change the angle, and you can move forward. It's called a wind wall, but to people, it's just a ball of air under their feet. Then Bai Yu called a few ninjas from the dragon group to attack him with ninjutsu. Then, everyone realized the power of this ninjutsu, that is, this ball of airflow can use the blowing force of the wind to blow the ninjutsu off course, achieving a defensive effect. This ninjutsu is called Wind Escape. Guardian of the Wind, Uchiha Lanxiang, holding two scrolls, thanked Bai Yu excitedly and ran away excitedly, jumping around, still young after all. Bai Yu couldn't help but smile. Chapter 181 The God List begins. With Bai Yu's big hand, all kinds of strange and powerful ninjutsu emerge in an endless stream. Everyone is numb and accustomed to it. However, Bai Yu's reputation as a genius has been refreshed again. Who can do it, creating ninjutsu so easily? Who can say that inventing ninjutsu is invented? Bai Yu can do it. In fact, Bai Yu only understands the principles of ninjutsu in this world, and with some ancient books and records from his previous life, he can do it so easily. However, if a more hard-working Taoist priest comes to this world, he may do it even better than Bai Yu. On the 7th day, not only the audience seats were full of spectators, but even the aisles and even places where people can sit or stand were full of spectators. There are also many ninjas who jump directly to the beams of the venue and directly stick to the wall to watch. Why is it so popular? Because today is a battle of the god list all day long! Exclamation mark. Bai Yu, Namikaze, Minato and others, already sitting in the contestant seat. This competition has two meanings. The first level is the determination to inspire young ninjas to become stronger, and the second level is to show the power of Konoha's high-level ninjas to civilians during the war. They can live peacefully in Konoha. If they go to other places, their safety cannot be guaranteed. Only in Konoha can they live a peaceful and happy life. Jiraiya looked at Minato Namikaze, who was wearing the cloak of the fourth Hokage, and felt infinite emotion in his heart. The young man back then has now become the Hokage who leads the whole village to the light. But Jiraiya does not have the mentality of a hero in his twilight years like Sarutobi Hiruzen. According to Jiraiya's unruly words, this uncle is still as good as ever. Especially in which aspect? The power of Konoha's high-level ninjas is very strong. The three families of Ino, Shikaku and Chao fought separately for the first time. This is the first time I have seen it. As the staff prepares, the drawing ceremony will begin soon. The contestants are Inuzuka Tsumugi, Yamanaka Inoichi, Uchiha Fugaku, Nerashikaku, Hyuga Hisashi, Yamanaka Inoichi, Shiraha, Jiraiya, Hyuga Hayashi, Tsunade, Akimichi Choza, Namikaze Minato, Tachibana Umusashi, Aburame Shiwei, Baking Cheng, Hatake Tsukumo, Uzumaki Kushina. Even Namikaze Minato is participating? Exclamation mark. This news undoubtedly made everyone restless again. But among the 18 contestants, except Baking Cheng and Tsunade, they all prayed silently in their hearts not to meet Bai Yu. Because the name of Bai Yu is like the god of death, and he has single-handedly caused the success or failure of 2 ninja world wars. The name of the god of death is so terrifying. Even Jiraiya and Hatake Tsukumo don't want to fight Bai Yu. The first competition is Inuzuka Tsumugi against Yamanaka Inoichi. Hearing the words of the staff, Inuzuka Tsumugi and Yamanaka Inoichi were relieved and serious at the same time. As the two entered the venue, the surrounding audience seats broke out in extremely enthusiastic cheers. The battle between the two was not too gorgeous, but it exuded the most terrifying destructive power. For example, the Tangaya, and the beast-like ninjutsu of the Inuzuka family destroyed the arena as tragically as a missile explosion. And Yamanaka Inoichi showed everyone how to use strategies to contain the enemy. Because Yamanaka Inoichi is not a combat-type ninja. However, Yamanaka Inoichi's sophistication made the audience excited. In the end, Inuzuka Claw won. After a wonderful duel, the two made a seal of reconciliation. He smiled and returned to his seat. Not bad. You are a non-combat ninja, but you can fight with Claw for so long. Is Claw interested in you? Jiraiya, the old and dishonest, quietly ran to Yamanaka Inoichi and said. Yamanaka Inoichi was horrified when he heard this. He quickly stopped Jiraiya's nonsense. At this time, Yamanaka Inoichi was in a situation. How could it be possible? However, Jiraiya's words were heard by a black dog. After a while, Yatong-ya, a ninjutsu of the Inuzuka family, suddenly attacked Jiraiya. After a farce, Jiraiya was full of smiles and sat back in his seat, but there was a slap mark on his face. Bai Yu forced himself to hold back his smile. This Jiraiya is really, well, very good. The second game, Narushikaku vs. Akimichi Choza. Ha! Exclamation mark. Bai Yu was a little surprised when he heard the host calling out the names of the two. Even Narushikaku and Akimichi Choza couldn't believe it. Isn't this bullying? Bai Yu thought to himself. The bullying that Bai Yu said was not Akimichi Choza bullying Narushikaku, but Narushikaku bullying Akimichi Choza. You know, Narushikaku, this old scoundrel, can think of many combat strategies in an instant. Isn't this bullying? Shikaku, come on, let's go to the back to find the staff and draw lots again. I won't beat you. Akimichi Choza pulled Narushikaku with an angry look on his face and was about to run to find the staff. Narushikaku heard what Akimichi Choza said and his head was black. What a fool. Chos, do you mean that I can't beat you? Narushikaku broke free from Akimichi Choza's hand and asked calmly. Yes. Otherwise? Knowing this, why would I bully you? Akimichi Choza's sincere eyes and sincere tone made Narushikaku sure that Akimichi Choza was not mocking him. Narushikaku covered his forehead and smiled. It's really troublesome. Let's go. Let's have a fight and you'll know. But don't treat this as a normal competition. I will let you see a different me. Narushikaku said with a smile. A hint of fighting spirit flashed in his eyes. Akimichi Choza looked at Narushikaku and was about to say something. Just listen to one sentence. Okay, Shikaku, go and fight. Tsunade is my wife. Kushina is Minato Namikaze's wife, and Inuzuka Tail has someone in his heart. No one will watch you show off. Bai Yu's words instantly made Narushikaku, who was full of fighting spirit, collapse. HMPH. Little white face. Narushikaku said with a dark face, and walked to the stage. If you don't accept it, let's have a fight, little earthworm. Bai Yu pinched his nose and said disdainfully. When Narushikaku heard the three words little earthworm, his feet slipped, and he almost fell. He gave Bai Yu a middle finger, and walked onto the stage. Strictly speaking, this middle finger gesture was taught to him by Bai Yu. Bai Yu responded with a middle finger. Then he smiled. You, what does that middle finger mean? Minato Namikaze asked, approaching Bai Yu with a puzzled look. This. Just know that it means to curse. Bai Yu said with embarrassment. Oh, is that so? Minato Namikaze raised his middle finger to Bai Yu with a smile on his face. Oh my god, you are provoking me now with this gesture. Bai Yu said with a complicated smile. Yes, I'm provoking you. I just watched it secretly. Wait, we will fight each other. Namikaze Minato said with a smile. You have become a bad Minato. Bai Yu responded, swallowed a little, and said helplessly. I learned it from you. Bai Yu was so helpless. But the next game will be against Namikaze Minato. Should I hold back? Bai Yu was thinking while watching the battle between Narushikaku and Akimichi Choza. Chapter 182 Baking Cheng vs Tsunade. Narushikaku and Akimichi Choza came up without any nonsense. Narushikaku's eyes first flashed with a trace of thought, and then a cold light flashed. He started to move. Akimichi Choza was also unambiguous. He started with the partial multiplication technique. His right hand turned into a super large hand, holding a huge stick in his hand, which also became huge. He smashed towards Narushikaku fiercely. With Akimichi Choza's sudden acceleration, the swinging speed that was originally visible to the naked eye suddenly increased. Bang, a big hole was smashed in the ring by the iron stick. Narushikaku's face was calm, and he spread his clones without panic. 4 or 5 Narushikakus quickly scattered around the ring. As an old friend of Narushikaku for many years, Akimichi Choza naturally knew Narushikaku's famous skills. He did not give Narushikaku any chance at all. As the iron rod landed, Akimichi Choza quickly performed the full multiplication technique. The huge Akimichi Choza, like a giant spirit, stood on the ring. Fortunately, the ring was large enough to give Akimichi Choza a wide space to perform ninjutsu. Akimichi Choza hooked the iron rod with his left hand and swept around, trying to interrupt Narashikaku's subsequent series of plans. But can Narashikaku let Akimichi Choza succeed? Obviously not. The leader of the Jonin squad is not called for nothing. Although his strength has improved, his position is more secure than before. Narashikaku smiled slightly. He was afraid that you would not perform the multiplication technique. Narashikaku threw out several shurikens and nailed them on Akimichi Choza's shadow. However, Akimichi Choza can still attack. With great strength and speed, the iron rod rolled up a wave of air, attacking Narashikaku around. Narashikaku was not in a hurry. He evaded Akimichi Choza's attack and formed a seal with both hands. Shadow Seam Technique, Black Baienhua. Narashikaku shouted softly, and a huge black flower enveloped Akimichi Choza. Akimichi Choza was naturally very familiar with this technique. His chakra immediately boiled, and he broke through Narashikaku's restraints. I knew it earlier. Baienhua, the second level of change. Narashikaku said with a smile, and then the black Baienhua turned into a second flower, a third flower, and finally a fifth flower. It trapped Akimichi Choza tightly, but how could Akimichi Choza give up easily? For a moment, he output his chakra at full strength, trying to break the restraints. Super Shadow Binding Technique. Narashikaku's eyes changed. I saw the long shadow connected to the Baienhua, and a human figure rose instantly. 5 Narashikakus, 5 shadows. The shadows transformed into hands, quickly leading. The surrounding shadows were like exploding. Countless ribbon-like shadows flew out and entangled on the Baienhua. Every time it was entangled, the Baienhua would tighten a little, until Akimichi Choza, he couldn't move. Narashikaku seized the opportunity and smiled triumphantly. He made a few seals with his hands, and the shuriken that was originally stabbed into the ground and fixed on Akimichi Choza's shadow was entangled by the shadow and approached Akimichi Choza's neck. The winner was revealed in an instant. Narashikaku won. Ha. I told you. How could that old sly old man Shikaku be so easy to deal with? Come on. You owe my son a ninja tool, and you owe my daughter a set of clothes. Haha. Bai Yu saw the winner of the game and said to Jiraiya and Hatake Tsukumo excitedly. Because the ring was close, Bai Yu's voice was louder, and Narashikaku heard it clearly. The corner of his mouth twitched, and the little joy of victory just disappeared. The third game, Uzumaki Kushina vs. Aburame Shiwari. Originally, everyone was optimistic about Aburame Shiwari, but what everyone didn't expect was that Uzumaki Kushina was not a human when she fought, with red hair fluttering. Her eyes were fierce. Countless chains behind him tightly wrapped up the Aburame Shiwari who had just released the bug. This is the diamond seal in the sealing technique. Let Uzumaki Kushina perform it to the fullest. At this moment, not only Bai Yu, but also Tsunade and Orochimaru could tell. Everyone looked at Namikaze Minato with sympathy, and Bai Yu finally understood why Namikaze Minato's status in the family could never be improved. Even if Namikaze Minato could beat Uzumaki Kushina, when you were sleeping, you were silently fixed by chains one by one, and then. It's terrifying to think about it carefully. Namikaze Minato also touched his nose awkwardly and gave everyone an awkward but polite smile in return. The fourth game was more embarrassing. Baking Cheng vs. Tsunade. Everyone first looked at Bai Yu, and Bai Yu was seen with the same smile as Namikaze Minato. Awkward but not impolite. However, Baking Cheng took Tsunade's arm and walked onto the ring with a smile on her face. It didn't look like a fight, but like going shopping. But when the game started, the two women changed completely and became very serious. Since Bai Yu had given Tsunade a 60-year vitality, she didn't need to use the yin seal to maintain her appearance. So at this time, Tsunade's yin seal stored a lot of chakra. The seal rune covered Tsunade's whole body. Tsunade, who had burst into a terrifying momentum after the advancement, was promoted to another level. And Baking Cheng turned into a white dragon in full view of the public. This made everyone realize that Baking Cheng was a spirit. All along, everyone had always treated Baking Cheng as a person. Why did it feel weird? But it didn't matter. Baking Cheng was still the same Baking Cheng. It's just that the huge dragon head spoke, and the voice was dull, like thunder. Sister-in-law, let's go shopping tomorrow. This strong sense of disobedience made Bai Yu feel a little weird. But Tsunade smiled and said, okay. Although Baking Cheng always hangs out in the casino on weekdays, just like Tsunade in the past, Baking Cheng is a general who always wins, unlike Tsunade. But both women were strong-willed women. Baking Cheng spoke softly, because she wanted to tell Tsunade that fighting was okay, but there should be no estrangement between them. Tsunade was not stupid, nor was she a vase, so she naturally knew what Baking Cheng meant. So, the terrifying battle began. Two women, no, a mother dragon, fighting with a woman. With the yin seal, the vast chakra dispelled the cold air emitted by Baking Cheng, which did not affect the battle at all, and there was no need to worry about being frozen by the cold air. Seeing this, Baking Cheng also sprayed countless ice cones from her mouth. Tsunade naturally accepted them all, punching one by one, and blasting them all into ice slag. Having been with Bai Yu for so long, how could Tsunade not have corresponding growth and changes? The strength shown by Tsunade at this time shocked Jiraiya! Exclamation mark. If Tsunade punched him again like before, how many punches could he withstand? The previous battles on the god list showed everyone the tenacity of the ninja. They saw calmness. They saw composure. They saw sophistication and wisdom. Now, everyone saw the pure aesthetics of violence. As the battle escalated, Baking Cheng actually changed into another form. She showed a human body, but with horns on her head, dragon claws on her hands, and a dragon tail on her back. She fought with Tsunade using physical skills. With the blessing of inch power, every time Tsunade punched, there would be a sound of breaking through the air. And Baking Cheng was not to be outdone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 High Quality Battle. Seeing the struggle between the two women, everyone once again focused their attention on Minato Namikaze, meaning, look at Bai Yu, how high his family status is, and then look at you. So, Minato Namikaze smiled gently, and looked at Kushina with love, and the latter blushed and acted like an ostrich. So, everyone raised their middle fingers, and continued to watch the fight. However, to everyone's surprise, Baking Cheng won this match. Tsunade exhausted all the chakra in her body, and even the yin seal was looming, until she was exhausted. Bai Yu flashed, and came to Tsunade, and checked the situation. Then he took Tsunade to the lounge to rest. The next battle is Tachibana Yui Musashi vs. Hinata Hisashi. Unintentionally, this battle is a battle that everyone pays more attention to. The Tachibana Yui family is a new family to Konoha. Although everyone has a simple understanding of the secret techniques of the Tachibana Yui family, everyone is still not very clear about their true strength. Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hisashi, please give me your guidance. As a powerful clan of Konoha, Hyuga Hisashi is not without courtesy, and there is not much communication with the Tachibana clan, so Hyuga Hisashi is very polite. Tachibana clan, Tachibana Musashi, please give me your guidance. Tachibana Musashi's voice is very magnetic and slightly hoarse, but from the voice, it can be seen that this person is an old swordsman, steady and sharp. As the game begins, Hyuga Hisashi opens his Byakugan. Tachibana Musashi, on the other hand, inserts the long sword in his hand into the ground, and quickly performs the family secret technique. Hyuga Hisashi naturally can't let Tachibana Musashi do what he wants, but when Hyuga Hisashi rushes over, it is too late. The powerful blood and ki push Hyuga Hisashi away. This is the blood power that naturally flows out when the blood awakens. In Bai Yu's eyes, Tachibana Musashi at this time is an enhanced version of Tachibana Yukio. It's just that compared to when Tachibana Yukio opened the power of blood, he is less crazy and more rational, but the fighting spirit is the same. At this time, Tachibana Yui Musashi was like a fierce general standing at the top. It seemed that all he saw was fighting. The aura of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood made Hyuga Hisashi serious. Soft fist. Chakra wrapped around Hyuga Hisashi's palm, and he used his flesh to fight against Tachibana Yui Musashi's ninja tools. This fight was once again a feast for the eyes. This is the fight that a ninja should have. Although Tsunade and Baking-Cheng also fought against each other in physical skills, they lacked a few points, which made people feel excited. And Tachibana Yui Musashi's strong fighting spirit, through the power of ki and blood, affected every audience watching the fight. I wish I could go on stage and fight. Sometimes, fighting spirit is really a very strong magic. And Hyuga Hisashi was surrounded by chakra, and with his superb physical skills, he fought with Tachibana Yui Musashi, and it was hard to tell. Draw the sword, and divide the essence. Tachibana Yui Musashi performed a very powerful sword technique. I saw Tachibana Yui Musashi first repelled Hyuga Hisashi, then fiercely inserted the sword into the ground, and then the whole person held the hilt of the sword with one hand, and the blood in his body was boiling. The majestic blood blew away the dust around. A sword light, with Tachibana Yui Musashi as the center point, cut out a circular sword energy around. What is certain is that, if it is on the battlefield, Tachibana Yui Musashi's sword skill can be said to be the top sword skill for group attack. Because of the attack range and angle of this sword, if it is on the battlefield, it is enough to cut off the ninja who is caught off guard. But Hyuga Hisashi is at least a leader of the Hyuga clan. Bagua Palm, Hushin. Hyuga Hisashi made a prompt decision, and used the Hyuga clan's unique skill, Hushin! Hyuga Hisashi, who was unharmed, seized the opportunity, and continued to attack Tachibana Yui Musashi. This time, Hyuga Hisashi used the Bagua Pan Palm. After Hyuga Hisashi made a seal with both hands, a Bagua formation disc instantly appeared under his feet. For a while, Hyuga Hisashi actually suppressed Tachibana Yui Musashi perfectly. However, the Tachibana Yui family is not only a former samurai family, but also a family that is extremely passionate about fighting. Therefore, Hyuga Hisashi's suppression not only did not suppress Tachibana Yui Musashi's fighting spirit, but made Tachibana Yui Musashi's fighting spirit even stronger. Tachibana Yui Musashi, who was fighting hot, had his blood boiling again, and he became braver and braver. He looked like he would become stronger when he met a strong opponent. However, there is nothing wrong with saying this about the Tachibana Yui family. Every member of the Tachibana Yui family is a warmonger. They are not afraid of encountering strong enemies, but they are afraid of not being able to meet them. If they meet them, unless they are exhausted, the Tachibana Yui family will fight until the last moment. It seems that fighting is a drug, and the more they fight, the more addictive they become. Time passed little by little, and all kinds of gorgeous palm, fist, and sword techniques made the audience scream with excitement. Until Hyuga Hisashi and Tachibana Yui Musashi fell to the ground together. It turned out to be a draw! But it was nothing. A staff member checked the two of them, and sent them to the lounge to rest. These two stinky men are not Bai Yu's wives, so Bai Yu will not go up in person. The next battle will be interesting. The patriarch of the Uchiha clan, fighting against the patriarch of the Hyuga clan. That's right, it's Uchiha Fugaku fighting against Hyuga Hayashi. As the two looked at each other and smiled, Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hayashi went on stage together. Today's Uchiha clan has a look of, I'm standing in front of you, look at me, how much I look like before. Today's Uchiha clan is no longer cold, no longer indifferent, no longer arrogant, no longer rampant, no longer arrogant. But Bai Yu's eyes turned. Come on. Open a market, I'll be the banker. Red-eye disease and cataracts, who can beat who? With Bai Yu's words, bewitching language, and amazing odds, everyone couldn't help but bet. Especially Baking-Cheng. He actually bet on both ends. According to Baking-Cheng, if you bet like this, you will make some money no matter what. It's just a matter of how much you make. Following Baking-Cheng's words, everyone wanted to bet again. But Bai Yu was so smart that he took the money directly. Hehe, I've made my bet. Closing. No more bets. Bai Yu said meanly. Anyway, everyone didn't bet much, just a few hundred taels. Who would carry so much money with them? After everyone gave Bai Yu a middle finger, they didn't say anything. Bai Yu secretly laughed in his heart. Idiots, none of you can win, they will tie. Bai Yu had already seen the strength of the two people, so he took it to heart. But Bai Yu didn't do such a thing for such a small amount of money. It was purely for entertainment. Hinata Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku are also ruthless people. They came up and started fighting without saying a word. One opened the main Jiki Sharingan, and the other opened the Byakugan. Two clan leaders with severe eye diseases started fighting. That kind of tragic, that kind of, cough cough. And Uchiha Fugaku didn't show any mercy and used Susanoo directly. Uchiha Fugaku's chakra gives people a feeling of no meaning and coldness, which is completely different from the aura that Bai Yu exuded when he first came into contact with the Uchiha clan. Today, Uchiha Fugaku's chakra gives people a feeling of calmness and peace. With the appearance of Susanoo, the audience was shocked again. The battle of the godless is of high quality. Hinata Hayashi did not look solemn, but calmly performed the 8 diagrams palm. Uchiha Fugaku directly hit the inside of Susanoo. Chapter 184 Bai Yu vs Namikaze Minato. On the ring, the battle was extremely fierce. Uchiha Fugaku's Susanoo had an extremely strong attack power, but Hyuga Hayashi was no pushover. The two fought back and forth, and finally Hyuga Hayashi was exhausted, and Uchiha Fugaku's eyes were bleeding, so he had to stop the power of Susanoo. The two tied, but this ending is good. It doesn't seem to matter which family wins, but if you think about it deeply, it's, well, the author doesn't understand these things, but he knows which family wins and the family honor of the loser will suffer a blow. Who knows what they will do for the family honor. Next is the battle between Hatake Tsukumo and Jiraiya. What is surprising is that the battle ended abnormally quickly, but this is normal. Hatake Tsukumo has always been famous for his speed. The name of Konoha White Fang is not for nothing. Although he is not as fast as Namikaze Minato in speed, the swordsmanship of the Hatake family is not in vain. Although Jiraiya is strong, he is just a little bit behind Hatake Tsukumo, a veteran cage-level strongman who became famous earlier. The two of them have no burden and no family pressure. Although they lost, Jiraiya's unruly character made him waver again. The next battle is Bai Yu against Namikaze Minato. It can be said that this battle is the one that everyone focuses on the most. However, the two participants are unusually relaxed. Namikaze Minato knows that he is not Bai Yu's opponent, but it is rare to be able to fight with a strong man. Usually he is busy with work and has no time to spar with Bai Yu. Today he can finally enjoy it. But for Bai Yu, that is a bit too limited. Immortal techniques cannot be used, and powerful sword techniques cannot be used. Once used, it will be a disaster for this venue. It cost a lot of money to build it, and such a wasteful thing cannot be done. Not to mention the magic spell and talisman technique. With Namikaze Minato's speed, he can't hit it, even if he uses it. So, for Bai Yu, only the sword control technique and sword technique can be used. Now, as long as Bai Yu uses chakra, he can instantly enter the sage mode. No matter what ninjutsu he uses, it will rise to the level of senjutsu. Bai Yu and Minato Namikaze stood under the ring and smiled at each other. Fellow villagers of Konoha, brothers and sisters, the next battle is unprecedented. I believe that everyone is absolutely full of enthusiasm for the next battle. We all know that Lord Minato, as the Hokage, is definitely very powerful. However, Lord Bai Yu is a god of death who has shown his powerful strength in the two ninja world wars. Seeing everyone's fiery eyes, I understand. In this case, I won't say much nonsense. Please welcome, Lord Hokage, Lord Bai Yu. Come on stage. Inozuka River said passionately on the ring. As Minato Namikaze and Bai Yu both entered the arena, unprecedented cheers broke out in the audience and even on the beams of the venue. The applause was deafening. Namikaze Minato still had that friendly smile on his face, and the white cape of the fourth Hokage behind him moved without wind, showing extraordinary momentum. Although he had a kind smile on his face, no one underestimated Namikaze Minato. His speed, which was unrivaled in the ninja world, made people admire him. Bai Yu was wearing a long robe. His long silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his charming face fascinated men and women. He had the Bai Yu sword across his waist, but his awe-inspiring momentum made people feel awe. A woman's face, who could make a living by her face, but was so powerful and full of murderous aura. The two extremes, the contradictory feeling, were full of strange charm. Next, the battle begins. With the passionate roar of the host in Inozuka River, Namikaze Minato's cheerleaders and Bai Yu's cheerleaders began to shout without thinking. "You, it's really an honor to be able to spar with you." Namikaze Minato said with a smile. Me too. Bai Yu also responded with a smile. Then let's get started. Okay. After a brief exchange, Minato Namikaze's face changed, and he became unusually serious. His right hand quickly reached for the ninja tool bag. He scattered a patch of three-pronged kunai around the ring. Bai Yu also had a blank expression when he saw this. Although he felt relieved, Minato was a Hokage after all, and he had to give him the face he deserved. After all, Minato was also his brother, and he couldn't possibly slap him in the face. Sage mode appeared instantly. The long silver hair was shining, the take-eye pattern between the eyebrows, the dark black eyeshadow, and the dark purple sage chakra with mysterious brilliance lingering around the body, which made people dare not underestimate him. Although Bai Yu had no breath at this time, insiders knew that Bai Yu was in a state of returning to nature at this time. Flying Thunder God Slash. Minato Namikaze came up with a big move. In a flash, the Bai Yu sword was summoned by Bai Yu, guided by his mind. The Bai Yu sword was glowing with purple brilliance, blocking Minato Namikaze's attack. Ding. Namikaze Minato's attack was accurately blocked by Bai Yu. The tip of Bai Yu's sword collided with the tip of Namikaze Minato's shuriken, and the crisp sound resounded throughout the venue. It is said that laymen watch the excitement, while experts watch the doorway. Ordinary people and low-level ninjas think that Namikaze Minato and Bai Yu are very powerful, but they don't know where they are powerful. The real strength of Bai Yu and Namikaze Minato lies in the control of chakra, Namikaze Minato's proficiency in ninjutsu, and the timing and means of attack. And Bai Yu's strength lies in the mysterious swordsmanship and the perfect state of the sage mode. What everyone admires most is the purple brilliance around Bai Yu. That is the embodiment of the blood inheritance elimination of the fire thunder. All this was just a moment of effort, but the crisp sound seemed to have opened the prelude to a fierce battle. Namikaze Minato missed the attack, and the flying thunder god technique was instantly used, and he attacked Bai Yu from another weird angle in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged nearly 100 moves. The speed seemed like a child's play in their eyes. Bai Yu's attack and defense were very chic and smooth, using both hands to chop, stab, or block with a horizontal sword. In some emergency moments, Bai Yu could also fly the sword, controlling the Bai Yu sword with his mind, to attack and defend on his own. The two's instantaneous battle almost made the audience forget to breathe. Not only the audience, but also Jiraiya, Hatake Tsukumo and others, held their breath, and watched the fight on the stage seriously. At this time, several people who were carried to the lounge also recovered their ability to move and came back to watch. Tachibana Yui Musashi, seeing Bai Yu's swordsmanship, his eyes lit up like a searchlight, staring at Bai Yu. If this was not a game, I believe that Tachibana Yui Musashi would definitely rush to the stage and shout, "Don't move, let me do it. Let me fight Bai Yu for 3,000 rounds." For these fighting lunatics of the Tachibana Yu family, these are all possible. Even now, Tachibana Yui Musashi's eyes were flushed with blood, his breathing was rapid, and he wished he could pick up his sword and fight Bai Yu. Chapter 185 Yellow Flash vs Purple Flash. Flying Thunder God Slash. Namikaze Minato shouted softly. Bai Yu's eyes condensed. It was a repeated move again. Huh? No, Namikaze Minato would not do this. As expected, Flying Thunder God Slash was just a cover. Flying Thunder God second stage. Huh? When? Exclamation mark. Bai Yu was a little surprised. Bai Yu received Namikaze Minato's first slash, and then Namikaze Minato's figure disappeared, and instantly appeared above Bai Yu. I saw Namikaze Minato holding a three-pronged kunai in his right hand and a Rasengan in his right hand, smashing Bai Yu from top to bottom. When did Namikaze Minato throw the kunai in the air? Bai Yu's thoughts were in a flash. Suddenly, Bai Yu caught an opening in his memory. This was when he was fighting with Minato for dozens of moves. Namikaze Minato faked behind Bai Yu. At that time, Bai Yu thought that Namikaze Minato was just faking, but he didn't expect that Namikaze Minato would seize the opportunity at this time, throw out the Minato, and calculate the space. HMPH. The instant body technique takes 0.5 seconds, while the inch force only takes 0.23 seconds. Bai Yu left a pit of earth, squatted slightly, left a pit of earth, and rubbed the Rasengan on his head, avoiding the attack of Minato Namikaze. Boom. Minato Namikaze's Rasengan caused great damage to the ground. In an instant, a 3-person wide, half-person body pit appeared in everyone's sight. As Bai Yu dodged, Minato Namikaze landed smoothly. The surrounding audience burst into strong applause. The fans of both sides burst into mindless shouting again. Heart-wrenching, shocking. The shouting on both sides did not disturb the audience of Hatake Tsukumo and others watching the battle. This time the battle was extremely valuable. In contrast, Hatake Tsukumo and Jiraiya's battle was meaningless and watery. But there was no way. Hatake Tsukumo and Jiraiya had no desire to fight. But at this time, in a corner of the venue, 8 pairs of eyes, plus 2 pairs of small eyes, watched the battle between Minato Namikaze and Bai Yu. The owners of these 8 pairs of eyes are Uchiha Shisu, Hatake Kakashi, Tachibana Yukio, Uchiha Obito, Might Guy, Sarutobi Asuma, Yuhi Kurenai, and Nohararin. The 2 pairs of small eyes are Baki and Baiyo, and the 2 children are in the arms of Yuhi Kurenai and Nohararin. Several people watched the battle between Bai Yu and Namikaze Minato in shock. Oh my god. The strength of Bai Yu and Minato is really too strong. Uchiha Obito said in surprise. Yeah. The duel of nearly 100 moves in an instant really makes me a little unable to control my youthful power. Exclamation mark. No, I also want to fight secretly. I want to do 1,000 push-ups. Might Guy saw the battle between Bai Yu and Namikaze Minato, and for a while he couldn't control his blood, and started to sit and do push-ups, as if no one was around. Several people have long been accustomed to Might Guy, so they chose to ignore it. Minato's moves, even if it's my father, even if he can dodge it, he will be injured. Hatake Kakashi said calmly. Hey, stupid. Don't be impulsive. You are so brave. Don't be impulsive. Hey. Suddenly, Asuma Sarutobi's voice attracted everyone's attention. Asuma Sarutobi was holding Yukio Tachibana, whose eyes were red, breathing rapidly, and holding a long sword in his right hand. It can be seen how much Yukio Tachibana wanted to fight with Bai Yu and Minato Namikaze at this time. Hey. Uchiha Shisu sighed lightly, and knocked out the boiling Yukio Tachibana with a hand knife. Everyone gave a thumbs up to Uchiha Shisu's action. Asuma Sarutobi breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this, and threw Yukio Tachibana aside like throwing a dead dog. TSK, you scared me, this idiot. I almost didn't stop it. Asuma Sarutobi cursed inwardly. Of course it was just a joke. As a comrade in arms who was tortured by Bai Yu for 3 months, it would naturally be impossible if he was fighting, but in the current situation, this is very normal. Harmful friends. How can we become friends without harming each other? Idiot. Giggle. Baiyo and Zahihang's arms suddenly cried out like a baby. This is not surprising. Baiyo and Baki have long been able to call dad and mom, but the third word is actually idiot. For a moment, everyone felt a chill on their backs, but at this time, Asuma Sarutobi was almost chilled to the bone. You are so fierce. Giggle. You are so fierce. Giggle. Coincidentally, Baki also shouted with a smile at this time. Idiot. You are so fierce. For a moment, everyone looked at Asuma Sarutobi with sympathy. In an instant, Asuma Sarutobi turned grey. At this time, Asuma Sarutobi could already imagine the double beating of Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto. As for Bai Yu, Asuma Sarutobi no longer dared to imagine it. What to do? However, everyone's attention was once again attracted by the fight in the audience. Might Guy didn't even do push-ups, and watched the fight on the stage intently. Spiral Flash Super Wheel Dance Raw 3 styles. Along with Namikaze Minato's light shout, it appeared. The yellow flash that was famous in the ninja world appeared. Exclamation mark. Namikaze Minato combined the Flying Thunder God technique with the flash, and used the flash to emit dazzling yellow electric light on the 3-pronged kunai with the Flying Thunder God technique, making the opponent mistakenly think that it was a ninjutsu that blocked the line of sight and attacked the enemy naturally. For a while, the scene appeared with yellow flashes, sparks from the confrontation with the ninja tools. But the next moment, the scene changed again. A purple light that was no less than the yellow flash appeared. This reminded everyone of Bai Yu's other title again. Purple Flash. At that time, Bai Yu's Sage Mode was not perfect. The body was wrapped in the thunder chakra, which increased the speed and attack power. What appeared in front of everyone was a series of purple flashes. At this time, the speed of the two people can be said to have reached the extreme. Except for Hataksakumo and Jiraiya, the rest of the audience could only see the after images of the two. However, Sharingan, open. Byakugan, open. There is no shortage of red iron cataracts in Konoha. The audience in the stands could only see a yellow flash and a purple flash on the ring, colliding, separating, colliding again. Dozens of collisions in a row, then separating, colliding again. At this time, no one shouted, no one applauded, and even their breathing was restrained. The entire venue, except for the collision sound on the ring, it was terribly quiet. Apart from the sound of the battle, even a pin drop could be heard clearly. The two little guys, Baki and Bai Yu, were watching the colliding yellow and purple flashes below the stage, their eyes banging. If Bai Yu was here, he would definitely be shocked. Because the two little guys were watching the movement trajectory of Bai Yu and Namikaze Minato. That is to say, the two little guys could actually see the figures of the two people clearly. Exclamation mark. However, Bai Yu didn't know, and no one knew. The scene changed again. Yellow flashes occasionally ejected a blue chakra condensed Rasengan, some large and some small. Purple flashes occasionally flew out dark purple sword energy. The sharp sound of swords continued. The sound of explosions continued. For the audience, this battle was unprecedentedly gorgeous. But for the ninjas, this battle was definitely a display of strength. Chapter 186, 48 Years of Konoha. The battle lasted for a long time, and the two did not stop. Not only did they fight frequently, they had strong explosive power and amazing endurance. However, Bai Yu smiled slightly. Suddenly, he changed direction, fixed Minato Namikaze's hand behind him, and came to the ring with a flash. The audience was stunned, Minato Namikaze was stunned, and the host was stunned. According to the rules, the two were tied. Bai Yu let go of Minato Namikaze, and withdrew from the sage mode state with a smile. Minato Namikaze saw Bai Yu's smile, and understood what was going on. It was nothing more than Bai Yu didn't want to win Minato Namikaze, but he didn't want to lose. Under the watchful eyes of the public, a draw was the best choice. It not only saved the face of the Hokage, but also prevented everyone from questioning his strength. Minato Namikaze also smiled at Bai Yu. The two saluted the audience off the stage. The god list, Minato Namikaze, Bai Yu, do not participate in the ranking competition. The god list only competes for the top 3. After a series of battles, the top 3 are Baking-Cheng, Hataksakumo, and Jiraiya. Tsunade gave up the competition, because now she is a mother, and the previous fights were purely for fun. After having fun, it became boring. The Elite Ninja competition, that lasted for several days, came to an end and ended successfully. But everyone was still reluctant to leave. After all, this level of competition is rare. In the next few days, Konoha village became lively again. The reason is simple. Bai Yu's apprentice, Sarutobi Asuma, was hung on the Hokage Rock for 3 days and 3 nights because he taught Bai Yu's son and daughter bad words. During this period, he was exposed to the sun and rain. For a time, Sarutobi Asuma became an important figure in the after-dinner chat of the villagers of Konoha. However, this can be regarded as a disguised way to improve Sarutobi Asuma's popularity. Although this popularity is a bit, Bai Yu also accepted Tachibana Ukiyo as his apprentice, and Gekko Gale. Both of them followed Bai Yu to learn swordsmanship. Tachibana Ukiyo is naturally needless to say, and Gekko Gale's transparent escape finally let Bai Yu know how Gekko Gale's disease came from. Days passed. Except for Moonlight Gale, Bai Yu's apprentices have all graduated. So Bai Yu's life is very leisurely. He goes to the Bai family consortium every day, or takes Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto out shopping. Of course, Baki and Bai Yu are left to Kushina's care. Or he teaches Moonlight Gale swordsmanship, and teaches Moonlight Gale's childhood sweetheart, Uzuki Yu-Gi-Oh! However, Bai Yu accepts Uzuki Yu-Gi-Oh! As his apprentice. Because Bai Yu can see that Uzuki Yu-Gi-Oh! Will become Moonlight Gale's wife sooner or later. What surprised Bai Yu was that he didn't know what charm Moonlight Gale had, but Uzuki Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so devoted to him. You know, whether it was Nohara or Yuhikuni, Uchiha Obito and Sarutobi Asuma took a lot of effort to catch up with the two girls. Especially Uchiha Obito, who was able to catch up with Nohara in he had experienced the perception of life and death. But this is none of Bai Yu's business. As the saying goes, after fighting for a lifetime, can't you enjoy yourself? Although Bai Yu has not reached this level, Bai Yu has made great contributions to the peace and prosperity of Konoha today. Moreover, Bai Yu has made great contributions to the food industry and technology industry of the entire ninja world. Time flies. Baki and Baiyao have also grown up. They grow taller every day. In the blink of an eye, the brother and sister have also gone to the ninja school. Now it is the beginning of the 48th year of Konoha. Daddy. Just after the new year, Bai Yu accompanied Baki and Baiyao to build a snowman in the yard. Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto are preparing food in the kitchen. Baki and Baiyao each built a super small snowman, turned to Bai Yu with a fatherly smile, and shouted happily. How to say it, Baki's personality is very heroic. He is very similar to Bai Yu, and Baiyao is super sweet and gentle, a bit like Uchiha Makoto. Sometimes, Bai Yu wondered if it was because there were three of them together that the two children's personalities were mixed up. Baki was Uchiha Makoto's child, so it was not surprising that his personality was like Bai Yu, but Baiyao was Tsunade's child, so Bai Yu should be more naughty and quiet. But if she was like Tsunade, then, not being like her made Bai Yu feel a little relieved. But this was also good. Bai Yu would not refuse such a sweet and good girl. Come, let daddy see the little snowman you two made. They are all very beautiful. But I always feel that this snowman is missing something. After Bai Yu finished speaking, he looked at the big snowman that Bai Yu made next to him, with branches for his hands, a red scarf, a red hat, grapes for his eyes, and a carrot as his nose. Bai Yu used his fingers to draw a smile on his mouth. Baki and Baiyao heard Bai Yu's words, looked at the big snowman and the two little snowmen, thought for a long time, and soon, the brother and sister smiled at each other and ran into the house. Looking at the two children with innocent smiles, their eyes were full of innocence and childishness. Bai Yu's fatherly smile became even more intense. Since the two little snowmen were very small, Baki and Baiyao put their hats and scarves on the snowmen, and also used grapes and carrots as eyes and noses. Daddy, how is it? Baiyao threw himself into Bai Yu's arms, looked at Bai Yu with a super sweet smile, and said in a coquettish voice. Bai Yu smiled, and didn't say anything, but stopped Baiyao with his right hand, picked up Baki with his left hand, and walked into the house. Without a hat and scarf, Bai Yu was afraid that the two children would be cold. Bai Yu's arms seemed very thin, but they were really warm and strong. The two children were full of security in their father's arms. Walking into the house, I saw Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto with slightly bulging stomachs. Bai Yu's heart slowly felt a sense of accomplishment. Since Baki and Baiyao no longer needed special care, Bai Yu, Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto once again spent a night of games. This time, Bai Yu was ahead of everyone in Konoha, the first man with a second child. In the past few years, all the old friends have also got married, and after Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto got pregnant with their second child, they have joined the ranks of expectant fathers and mothers. Kushina is no exception. Because of this, Minato Namikaze once made a big fuss. There are many aunties who gossip. Kushina heard the aunties on the street discussing why the Hokage has not had any offspring after 2 years of marriage. Is it Minato Namikaze's problem or Kushina's problem? How can this be tolerated? What kind of personality does Kushina have? It happened that one day Minato Namikaze was having a meeting with the top management. Kushina walked in with a dark face, ignoring the surprised eyes of everyone, and regardless of the occasion, she pinched Minato Namikaze's ear and left. For 2 consecutive days, Minato Namikaze was not seen. On the 3rd day, another meeting was held. Bai Yu, Hatake Tsukumo and some other experienced people saw Minato Namikaze's black eyes and his shaking legs when he walked, and instantly understood what was going on. He looked at Minato Namikaze with an intriguing expression, and Minato Namikaze injured everyone's gaze, and finished the meeting with difficulty. However, after that, news came out that Kushina was pregnant. Chapter 187 Bullying is too much. and Bai Yu's base consortium, under the management of Naruto. The 5-year plan ended ahead of schedule. Under Bai Yu's name, the food industry, clothing industry, technology industry, ninja tool industry, fruit and vegetable fresh industry, etc., have fully opened up the market in the Fire Country and firmly established a foothold in the Fire Country. The next plan is to wait until the new year is over and spring arrives to enter other major countries. Moreover, it is time to propose to Minato Namikaze to establish Konoha Bank. Of course, there is no hurry, eating with family is more important. It used to be a family of 3, now it is a family of 5, and in a few months, it will be a family of 7. Bai Yu felt extremely happy. After dinner, Baiki and Bai Yu returned to their small room accompanied by Makoto and Tsunade, while Bai Yu waited for Tsunade and Makoto in bed. Of course, now that the 2 women are pregnant, Bai Yu naturally can't do anything. The next morning, after Bai Yu had breakfast, he set off to the Hokage's office to find Minato Namikaze. However, Bai Yu was somewhat surprised by the atmosphere in the Hokage building at this time. It was obviously the beginning of the year, and there were few people working in the office every year. But this year was different. People were coming and going, as if something had happened. The ninjas and staff passing by saw Bai Yu just politely greeted him and hurried to do things. This made Bai Yu frown. When he walked to the door of the office, there was a strong argument inside. Bai Yu put his ear to the door and listened carefully for a while. Because of the Bai family consortium, many people who have lost their jobs and bankrupt businesses have come to ask for an explanation. Moreover, the 5 Nations Chunin exam is about to be held, and there are less than 2 months left. Because of the prosperity of Konoha, the venue is recognized by the 4 countries to be held in Konoha. In addition, the daimyo knows about the Bai family consortium and requires Konoha's overall tax revenue to increase 5-fold. Now they are working overtime to compile the unemployment list and calculate the tax report. Mitominan said calmly, "If you ask me, all of this is caused by Bai Yu. Bai Yu should handle it." Kutane Koharu's hatred for Bai Yu has not decreased over the years. Instead, she has become more resentful as she sees Bai Yu grow bigger and stronger. Moreover, she should have had a share in the Bai group, but Bai Yu personally rejected her and Mitokado in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Seeing that she missed out on huge amounts of money every month, Kutane Koharu's hatred for Bai Yu is really no less than that of Shimura Danzo. Of course, if Shimura Danzo is still alive. Elder Utatane Koharu. As the Hokage, I have to remind you that Elder Shiraha's contribution to the prosperity of Konoha today is unquestionable. First, I have some understanding of the Shiraha group's business. There is no conflict with the various industries in Konoha. It's just that there are more innovations. There is no such thing as plundering the market. In my opinion, bankruptcy and unemployment are clearly due to poor management. Second, the venue for the 5 Nations Chunin exam was chosen in Konoha because of its prosperity. Don't you think this is a compliment to Konoha? Namikaze Minato said here righteously and was interrupted by Utatane Koharu. Minato, you are still young and don't know the threat brought by the Chunin exam. In the past years, when I participated in the Chunin exam, there would be battles of varying sizes. Although the Chunin exam is held in one village in the name of unity and friendship among the villages, for any ninja village, the Chunin exam is an opportunity to start a war within. Every time during the Chunin exam, elite Jonin or Jonin will disguise themselves as Genin to participate in the Chunin exam and sabotage. Koharu Utatane said loudly and seriously. Also, Minato, it's not just the Chunin exam. If Bai Yu had no ambition, why would he want to get involved in all kinds of businesses? Moreover, do you know what it means that Konoha's overall tax revenue will increase 5 times? Originally, 60% of the tax revenue was from the Bai family consortium, and now it is 5 times, which means that Konoha's 40% of the tax revenue will increase 5 times. 5 times is very simple for Bai Yu, but for others, it may be a year of work for nothing. Mitomanen also said seriously, 50% of my personal income will be allocated to the unemployed, and subsidies will be provided in proportion. For the Chunin exam, I will let the Dragon Group come forward to guarantee safety. As for the 5 times more taxes, another 30% will be deducted from my personal income and included in the taxes. All Konoha high-level officials will deduct 10% each to subsidize the unemployed, and deduct 20% to include in the taxes. Namikaze Minato said with a serious face, suppressing the anger in his heart. Why? If it weren't for Bai Yu, how could there be so many things? Why do you have to deduct all the high-level income? Utatane Koharu said angrily. I think that the unemployed and the 5 times increase in taxes should be borne by Bai Yu alone. Moreover, regarding the Chunin exam, the dragon group must come forward, Mitaman Yan said coldly, looking at the 2 old guys in front of him. Even the good-tempered Namikaze Minato was a little angry. What's wrong with Bai Yu? Although Bai Yu makes a lot of money, but now in Konoha, everyone's face is filled with happy smiles. Isn't that enough? What's wrong with having difficulties? As Konoha's high-level officials, shouldn't they lead by example? What about the will of fire? Has it been eaten by dogs? Namikaze Minato calmed down his heart again. As high-level officials, we must be firm in the will of fire. For Konoha, we must set an example. Also, if it weren't for Bai Yu, would the people of Konoha have happy smiles on their faces and live happily? Do you know why other major countries dare not start a war easily? First, the economy. With the Bai family consortium, once the war starts, Bai Yu will start an economic war. First, let other countries lose a lot of money economically. Second, strength. Not only Bai Yu's personal strength, Bai Yu's 9 apprentices are all elite ninjas who can stand on their own. Third, supplies. You may not know. Because the Bai family consortium has entered the ninja tool industry, some precious supplies that have risen to the war level are also added to Konoha for free. I think Bai Yu did nothing wrong. If the 2 elders suffer losses because of their own interests, I can give up any income and use my remaining 20% of income to replace the 2 elders and fill the vacancies. Namikaze Minato stood up at this time, suppressing his anger, and said very calmly, why not include the Bai family group in the Konoha upper echelons? Wouldn't everything be solved this way? Utatane Koharu said with a look of disappointment. Namikaze Minato first exhaled and forced himself to calm down. I know the grudges between you 2 and Bai Yuzhijian. I won't talk about it for now. The solution the 2 elders said is really heartbreaking. I'm sorry I can't agree with it. Namikaze Minato tried his best to maintain his last bit of self-cultivation. But Utatane Koharu and Mitakadoen were different. When they heard what Namikaze Minato said, their faces turned pale. Minato, you are really too young. If it was Hiruzen, he would definitely not have this attitude. Utatane Koharu said angrily. Mitakadoen proved his dissatisfaction with a cold snort. I still have things to deal with. If there is nothing else, please leave. Namikaze Minato maintained his self-cultivation and ordered him to leave. Minato, if you let Bai Yu do whatever he wants, you will regret it. Utatane Koharu shouted loudly, as if to wake up Minato. Namikaze. Bang, the office door was kicked open. This is too much. 2 old bastards. If I, Bai Yu, don't kill you too, I won't be named Bai. A roar resounded throughout the Hokage building. Author 2322. This is the number of words up to here. The 2 old bastards finally made Bai Yu angry. Are you looking forward to the rest? Haha. Chapter 188. The growth of Minato. Namikaze, accompanied by Bai Yu's roar. At this time, Bai Yu was full of murderous intent, and the kind of fear in his eyes that made people's hearts surge was self-evident. The uncontrollable take-eye pattern between his eyebrows flickered and flickered abnormally, proving that Bai Yu could no longer control his chakra. With his breathing, the whole person was like a chameleon, and the dark purple chakra was looming around him. Bai Yu, what are you doing? Utatane Koharu was obviously ashamed and angry because he was shocked by Bai Yu. He shouted at Bai Yu angrily. What am I doing? 2 old men, it seems that I really let you live too long. If I don't kill you today, I'm not Bai. Accompanied by Bai Yu's cold words, the sage mode appeared instantly, and the murderous intent around him made Utatane Koharu speechless. With the coldness in his eyes, Minato Namikaze sighed slightly in his heart. At this time, Bai Yu couldn't stop himself, because Bai Yu's strength was terrifying. If Bai Yu exerted his full strength, Konoha, which had just prospered, would suffer casualties again. However, Namikaze Minato knew that the 2 old men were really going too far. At this time, Namikaze Minato narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking about the development of things and how to deal with various situations. We are the advisory elders of Konoha. You are so bold. Mitamonen glanced at Bai Yu and said, seriously relying on his status. You still know that you are the advisory elder. What are those words you just said? What are you talking about? When you encounter problems, you push them onto others. Where are your responsibilities as senior executives? You are old, and your responsibilities have been eaten up by Gao. You are unwilling to make decisions that are detrimental to yourselves. Where are your responsibilities? Have they been eaten up by Gao? You don't think about how to solve problems every day, but only think about cheating people in the same village. Where is your conscience? Have you been eaten up by Gao? Saying that you are Gao is a great insult to Gao. You are really worse than Gao. A Gao knows to tease its owner every day. What about you? You are enjoying the treatment, and you don't need to make suggestions. You are just eating dry rice and being a borer. You just do your job well, and no one will say anything. But you actually want to plot against me. Did you call someone? Bai Yu's roar was very loud, and the door of the office was not closed. Everyone in the building could hear it clearly. Minato. Koharu Yute knew that she couldn't win the argument with Bai Yu, so she glared at Minato Namikaze and scolded him. Don't call me Lord Hokage. I'm also an advisory elder, and an advisory elder with merit. I got it through my own contribution, and my merit is more than you two old guys combined. Therefore, my status is above you, which is recognized by the third Hokage. First, as advisory elders, you are not enterprising and slack in your duties. Second, as advisory elders, you force the Hokage to seek your own interests. Third, as elders, you force the Hokage and frame Zanglian. Fourth, as elders, you are disrespectful to the Hokage. Fifth, as elders, you abuse your power for personal gain. Don't think I don't know how much precious materials in the Konoha material warehouse you secretly took for your family. The ninjas of the Dragon Group are not just eating and drinking. You will know it once you check it out. Exclamation mark. I have the evidence. It's in the Dragon Group database. If it weren't for the fact that you two are old, I wouldn't have to wait until today to kill you. Bai Yu said this. His tone became even colder, comparable to the ice in the Arctic. 5 crimes together. You die for me. Bai Yu's voice fell. Minato Namikaze realized something and said quickly, wait, according to Konoha's system, they are not lethal. However, after Minato Namikaze finished speaking, 2 heads had already fallen to the ground, and the smell of blood followed. Bai Yu and Minato Namikaze were both ninjas who had been on the battlefield. They didn't feel anything about this smell, and had long been accustomed to it. According to the system, these 5 crimes are only enough to remove the 2 of you from your positions, recover all the benefits you enjoy except wages, check your property, replenish resources, and return to an ordinary family. Minato Namikaze looked at Bai Yu with a complicated expression and said lightly, with a little struggle in his tone, I'm relieved. It's okay, we are brothers. You are the Hokage. How to punish? I will listen to you. I will definitely cooperate. These 2 bastards are really fucking annoying. Bai Yu exhaled and said with a smile, Hokage-sama. Hokage-sama. At this time, the nearby ninjas smelled the blood and ran over. Seeing the door of the Hokage's office open, they all ran over, fearing that the Hokage would be assassinated. Exclamation mark. The ninjas who ran over saw this scene and immediately didn't know what to say. Several young ninjas saw the head on the ground, a large piece of blood, and the pungent smell of blood, and immediately vomited. Sorry, Hokage, Namikaze Minato didn't speak, but closed his eyes and his brain was working so fast that even the author could hear the sound of the distant turning. After a long time, Namikaze Minato opened his eyes, and his eyes showed a terrifying brilliance. At this moment, Namikaze Minato has grown up. The breath on his body is no longer as vigorous as before, but mixed with calmness and majesty. Namikaze Minato found the turning point for Bai Yu. Before, when Bai Yu said that the 5 crimes were punished together, he was very stiff, but when he said you, his voice was very loud, and the words after that were very cold, but his voice was quite standard. It doesn't matter, even if you hear it. Announce it. Koharu Utatane and Enmitaman, because of their different political views, they wanted to change my decision by force. Fortunately, Elder Bai Yu arrived in time and was beheaded. Call Hatake Tsukumo. Minato Namikaze said seriously. Yes. XN. Then the two vomiting ninjas were dragged away. Bai Yu was very surprised by Minato Namikaze's decision. But he was very touched. Bai Yu was about to speak, but was stopped by Minato Namikaze. No need to say more, I'm not announcing it without purpose. From the perspective of affection, I support you killing them. From the perspective of officialdom, it is beneficial for you to kill them. From the perspective of the position of Hokage, if you kill them, I may be criticized, and the previous Hokage will also blame me. From the overall situation, they are no longer suitable for this position. From the perspective of development, they are indeed an obstacle to the development of Konoha. Minato Namikaze said very calmly. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. After weighing the pros and cons, it is right to kill them. But the approach is quite extreme. The first thing Minato Namikaze talked about was love, which was enough to prove the brotherhood between Minato Namikaze and Bai Yu. Bai Yu was suddenly filled with emotion. Minato Namikaze had grown up. He had become a believer in the will of fire who was not naive. He was an outstanding Hokage. But, after all, you killed 2 elders. You will have to bear the 5 times tax. I will be responsible for the unemployed population. Moreover, as a punishment, you have to participate in government affairs. You killed 2 people, and you have to contribute. After all, now there is only you besides me. Minato Namikaze walked from behind the desk to Bai Yu, kicked the head of Koharu Utatane aside, and said with a smile, Minato, you have grown up. Bai Yu said with a faint smile. He understood what Minato Namikaze meant. This decision, first, appeased other senior officials, second, gave an explanation to the 2 families of Utatane and Mito, and third, Hatake Tsukumo was not suitable for discussing these scheming decisions, but he could lead troops to fight. Fourth, reduce the impact of the image of the Hokage. Minato Namikaze smiled and said nothing. Smart people don't need to say too much. Chapter 189 Konoha Bank. Namikaze Minato asked Hatake Tsukumo to take the Ando to the Dragon Group base to get the evidence of the crimes of Utatane Koharu and Mitaman. Then he went to the 2 clans to check the clan property and fill the missing materials. He sent ninjas to clean up the scene. Namikaze Minato and Bai Yu were sitting in Bai Yu's living room drinking hot tea. Bai Yu finally had the opportunity to talk to Namikaze Minato about the Konoha Bank. Bai Yu talked with Namikaze Minato for a long time, but Namikaze Minato also asked Bai Yu a few questions. It's not that I disagree. First, how can we get everyone to deposit the money originally in the Fire Country Bank into the Konoha Bank? Second, isn't the money deposited in the Konoha Bank and the Fire Country Bank the same? What's the difference? Third, if the Fire Country puts pressure on Konoha and stops merchants, what should we do? Namikaze Minato asked. Then he drank a sip of tea. But he didn't look cautious. He knew that, since Bai Yu could say it, he had naturally thought of a countermeasure, but Namikaze Minato still had to understand what the countermeasure was. That's why I have to wait until my 5-year plan succeeds, before I can build Konoha Bank. Minato, how about the products of my Bai family consortium? Bai Yu asked with a smile, after taking a sip of tea. Leading the ninja world, very novel. Namikaze Minato said concisely. Well, this is the attraction. If you have good products, will you worry about merchants not coming? Even if the daimyo does something, do you think merchants from other big countries and ninja villages will withstand the pressure and lag behind Konoha in technology? Let's not talk about other products, just take technology for example. Before building a bank, I will launch a new generation of computers that can be connected to the internet. As long as the spirit world is not destroyed, my network will not collapse. Moreover, after building a bank, I will launch a mobile phone. It's the kind of device that I told you before, which can make calls. Bai Yu said with a smile. Namikaze Minato's eyes flashed with eagerness. Although Namikaze Minato has grown up, he is still young and still has a great curiosity about unknown things. Moreover, the online game described by Bai Yu made Namikaze Minato yearn for it. Continue. Namikaze Minato took a sip of tea and said, commodities are attractive. With attractiveness, there will be no worries about lack of merchants. Another thing is how to attract everyone to deposit money in Konoha Bank. Here I have two plans, that is, investment. Calculated at an annual interest rate of 2.4%. Depositing 100,000 will earn an extra 2,400 interest after 1 year. This is a dead period, which means that you can't withdraw the money after depositing it. Bai Yu began to tell Namikaze Minato about the views and strategies of the 21st century. Namikaze Minato's head was about to explode. Stop, stop, stop. I'm almost dizzy from what you said. And the most important point. That is, according to what you said, even if the first 3 points can be dealt with, but if the far country directly deposits a large sum of money, tens of billions of funds, what if they withdraw it after 1 year? How do you give them money? You know that the far country daimyo has such strength. Moreover, if a war breaks out, you know, money is not money, it is just a useless piece of paper. Namikaze Minato instantly thought of this disadvantage. Bai Yu smiled mysteriously. Do you know what can replace banknotes in the ninja world and preserve their value? Bai Yu said. Gold. Namikaze Minato blurted out without thinking. Originally, I had an idea, but I didn't plan to do it that way. However, the problem you just raised is really tricky, so I have to implement this idea. That is, withdraw the banknotes that are exclusive to Konoha Bank. Bai Yu said lightly. What? This is too bold. Namikaze Minato almost spit out the tea he had just drank when he heard Bai Yu's words and looked at Bai Yu seriously. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Bai Yu waving his hand. In the future, Konoha will be economically independent. In Konoha village, only the banknotes of Konoha Bank are recognized. This banknote can be exchanged for new banknotes with old banknotes at an equivalent value. For foreign merchants, gold transactions are adopted, and equivalent gold is exchanged for equivalent goods. We can use Konoha's banknotes to purchase gold. After a while, banknotes will gradually become popular, and during the war, all transactions will be made with gold. In this way, everything will be solved soon. Moreover, we can also send people to use the exchanged old banknotes to purchase gold from other countries and villages. When the exchanged banknotes are unusable, they will all be burned. What do you think? Bai Yu said gloomily. Huh. You are really too insidious. But I like it. Hehe. When Minato Namikaze heard Bai Yu's countermeasures, he also smiled, but Minato Namikaze's smile was always so kind. After discussing with Minato Namikaze, Bai Yu made his own big move. In this day and age, you have a big business, which is not considered rich. What is considered rich? Of course, it is to open a bank. The banknote printing equipment was built directly at the Dragon Group base. If you ask where the safest place in the whole ninja world is, it is the Konoha Dragon Group base. While printing the banknotes, Bai Yu also personally made an anti-counterfeiting mark, which is very simple and easy, a spell. The talisman technique uses the language of Bai Yu's previous life. Moreover, Bai Yu also thoughtfully launched a banknote detector. On the new banknotes, the head is removed, and the pattern of beautiful mountains and rivers is adopted. Although Bai Yu knows that in this way, some functions of banknotes will be lost, but Bai Yu doesn't care. There are some things that banknotes cannot replace. The bank basically covers Konoha village, and many banks have been established to ensure that everyone can find the bank easily. Moreover, Konoha village also has a new profession, the banknote escort ninja. You don't need to be very strong, as long as you can use the detonating talisman. If you encounter something, just destroy the banknotes and run away. Then, Bai Yu promoted the card swiping machine that he had already asked Lanteng Technology to produce. There are also banks off-service deposit and withdrawal machines. While decorating the bank, Bai Yu also asked people to produce bank cards. Konoha Bank card is much more convenient than the previous passbook. Bai Yu did these things personally, because if every detail of the bank is not done well, it is easy to cause trouble. In addition, Bai Yu did not want others to know the specific procedures of the bank. After 3 months, Konoha Bank was established in Konoha village. Of course, it was still questioned by everyone at the beginning, but there were many people who were the first to try it. Of course, the patriarchs of various families who were familiar with Bai Yu, as well as Minato Namikaze, had already fully cooperated with Bai Yu before the first person to try it appeared. The advent of bank cards, card swiping machines, and bank self-service deposit and withdrawal machines once again set off a huge wave in the ninja world. For a time, Bai Yu made a lot of money by using card swiping machines and self-service deposit and withdrawal machines. The people of Konoha knew the convenience of bank cards, which greatly reduced Bai Yu's work in popularizing banks throughout Konoha. Many people rushed to the bank, did not ask anything, directly applied for bank cards, bought a card swiping machine, deposited the money and left directly. Bai Yu believes that the digitalization and information age of this world is coming soon. For a moment, Bai Yu even felt like floating. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. The momentum has already come before the people arrive. Prosperity and prosperity. This is the current situation of Konoha. With the establishment of Konoha Bank and the new technological products launched by Bai Yu, the daimyo of the Fire Country also began to exert pressure and some resistance on Konoha. On the one hand, he sent a letter to Minato Namikaze, urging taxation and strongly demanding the cancellation of the decision of Konoha Bank. On the other hand, he secretly prevented merchants from going to Konoha village to boost the economy. These are completely under Bai Yu's control. And Minato Namikaze also smiled slightly. This was expected. It didn't take long for merchants from various countries and villages to sit still. In the past, they would give the daimyo of the Fire Country some face. However, with the strong demand of the people and ninjas in the village for Bai Yu's food, clothing, ninja tools, etc., as well as the technological products needed by each village, they now rush into Konoha village to purchase goods regardless of anything. However, after the daimyo of the Fire Country learned the news, he actually sent people to assassinate merchants, and also issued tasks on the black market to indiscriminately assassinate merchants who entered Konoha. Although the Fire Country daimyo did not make it public, the high-ranking officials of Konoha knew what was going on, as long as they had a brain. Even if they thought with their heels, they knew that it was the group of people from the Fire Country daimyo who started to attack Konoha's merchants. Namikaze, Minato and Bai Yu discussed it for a while, and they were kidding. What kind of temper does our brother Yu have? Exclamation mark. They immediately decided to exclude all the members of the Dragon Group, including the old Dragon Group 8 and the new Dragon Group 8. Hinata Asakawa, Nararaka, Yamanaka Hiji, Akimichi Ichito, Kuramaka Okumo, Inozuka River, Aburanchi, Uchiha Genji, Yuhi Kunai, Nohararin, Sarutobi Asuma, Tachibana Yukio, My Guy, Uchiha Obito, Hatake Kakashi, Uchiha Shizu. All members were dispatched, the new Dragon Group 8 and other ninjas of the Dragon Group, to assassinate the ninjas in the black market and the people sent by the Fire Country daimyo. The old Dragon Group 8 went to the Fire Capital where the Fire Country daimyo was located to carry out a brutal assassination. As long as the attitude of the Fire Country daimyo mansion does not ease, kill a high-ranking member of the daimyo mansion every day. Starting from the lowest level high-ranking, choose a family first, kill one a day, until they are all killed, and then change to another family. Whoever dares to escape, kill the whole family directly, then change again. You have to know that Uchiha Genji, this 8 guy, is a veteran. Leave no trace, no chance. The most annoying thing is that one day Kuramajiwan actually left a note for others, which read, old thief, kill your daughter during the day, kill your eldest son tonight, kill your youngest son in the early morning, and when you open your eyes, I will kill your wife next to you. It's really cheap. Who let this old guy move his mother first? This is not Kuramajiwan's fault. Although the Dragon Group was dispatched silently, according to the intelligence, this is Konoha's counterattack. Exclamation mark. An extremely bloody and domineering response. Let the people of the Fire Country daimyo mansion be extremely gloomy. Luosha, the 4th generation Wind Shadow, who originally wanted to see a joke. The 4th Reikage AI. Anoki, the third Tsuchikage. They were all thinking hard. I didn't expect that Konoha is so strong now. In fact, anyone in the other 3 ninja villages can be like Konoha, but they can't confront their financial sponsors like Konoha, and the assassination leaves no evidence, clean and neat. Although everyone knows that it is Konoha's counterattack, they can't do anything to Konoha. And the water country still implements the blood mist policy. However, according to the intelligence brought back by the spy who survived a life-threatening situation, it seems that some ninjas have made some new moves in the haze of the blood mist policy. However, this is not important, because these actions are still suspected to be unconfirmed, and even if there are, the actions are very small, and can't cause any big waves. A month later, the evil forces of the far country daimyo finally sent a friendly letter to Konoha after 10 senior personnel, 5 senior families, and 30 senior personnel's families were killed. Originally, Minato Namikaze wanted to withdraw the 8 people of the old dragon group, but Bai Yu's words made Minato Namikaze give up the idea, and instead his mouth was filled with a friendly smile. Withdrawing people now will undoubtedly confirm that it was us who did it. Wait until the black market mission and the assassins sent by the far country daimyo disappear. Besides, even if the order is issued, it will take 3 or 2 days. This is the real and fake, the real and fake, the fake and real, so that the guys in the far country daimyo's mansion have no evidence, and can only suffer losses in secret. Even if they know it in their hearts, they have to smile to me. Moreover, even if the mission is revoked, and the people are taken back, it will take half a month. He is the one who played first, and he can't afford to play. He can play when he wants, and not play when he doesn't want to. How can it be so beautiful? Today's Konoha, it's not the Konoha of the past, Bai Yu said with a sinister look. In the Hokage's office. You. Really, I have to say something to you. Minato Namikaze said with a bright smile. Don't worship me too much, I'm very low-key. Haha. Bai Yu said proudly. No. Namikaze Minato's smile became even brighter. What is that? Bai Yu asked with a smile. You are really a coward. Namikaze Minato still had that smile on his face, but Bai Yu's smile froze. For the first time, I felt that Namikaze Minato's smile really deserved a beating. But it was just a farce. After the farce, Bai Yu hosted the party. He invited Hatake Tsukumo and Inoshikacho to come to Bai Yu's house for a barbecue. However, when Bai Yu and Namikaze Minato just walked out of the Hokage building, his face changed drastically in an instant. Exclamation mark. A powerful aura is approaching Konoha. Bai Yu was horrified. The aura has arrived before the person. Moreover, this aura is even stronger than Uchiha Madara. Bai Yu's face suddenly became extremely gloomy. Exclamation mark. Minato. Tell them the dinner is cancelled. All of Konoha is on top combat readiness. I'll go greet the guests and quickly activate the talisman formation I built. You, Hatake Tsukumo and the others, as well as Baking Cheng, are enough to resist this man. If I can't come back, help me take care of my family. Bai Yu finished speaking and left resolutely, without giving Minato Namikaze any chance to speak. Bai Yu knew that Minato Namikaze would not agree with him. However, the situation was urgent, and Minato Namikaze saw Bai Yu's back, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. All kinds of feelings, shrouded in sadness. In Minato Namikaze's eyes, a trace of water ripples was forcibly suppressed by him. He exhaled, his face serious and gloomy, and did what Bai Yu said. Because this is not the time to be soft-hearted. Bai Yu has long regarded Konoha as his home, and that sense of belonging is something Bai Yu is unwilling to give up. Minato Namikaze returned to the office again, sent out the Anbu, and urgently summoned relevant personnel, including Baking Cheng. It's urgent. No more nonsense. Everyone, follow me to the secret room built by you. We must open the talisman array immediately. Namikaze Minato said straightforwardly. Everyone's face changed when they heard it. Exclamation mark. Enemy attack? Where's my brother? A pleasant and crisp voice came out of Baking Cheng's mouth. This voice should have been very pleasant, but at this moment it was full of anxiety and coldness. Because she also felt that breath, and that breath was somewhat familiar to her. Otherwise, she would not have come out of the casino so quickly and came to the Hokage's office. Chapter 191 Protecting That Responsibility. Namikaze Minato looked a little tangled. Tell me quickly, what happened to my brother? Although Baking-Cheng was a little willful and naughty, and always pitted his brother, but at the critical moment, Baking-Cheng was still very concerned about Bai Yu. Baking-Cheng's eyes were full of anxiety at this time. The shadow of the dragon head was looming. It proved how uneasy Baking-Cheng was at this moment. He went to meet the enemy. Before leaving, he asked me to open the talisman formation. He said that, if he couldn't come back, let me take care of his family. Namikaze Minato felt that he should make it clear to Baking-Cheng at this moment. But when other people heard what Namikaze Minato said, their faces turned pale. Bai Yu's daily behavior, righteousness, and heroism, this kind of character naturally gained a group of sincere brothers. It can be said that the entire Konoha senior management are Bai Yu's brothers. However, Bai Yu's words also confirmed one thing, that even Bai Yu had no confidence in defeating this enemy. Baking-Cheng heard this, and his mind buzzed, and everything went blank. No, brother. I want to go find my brother. Tears fell from Baking-Cheng's eyes, but soon Baking-Cheng's expression became firm. After saying this, he was about to walk out. King Cheng. Think about Tsunade. Think about Uchiha Mikoto. Think about my son. Think about Joa. And think about the new life that has not yet been born. I know that you thought of this and decided to fight alone. Leave us to protect Konoha village. Namikaze Minato's face lost the kind smile of the past. At this moment, Namikaze Minato couldn't control the ripples in his eyes, but as a man's dignity, Namikaze Minato didn't stay. In Namikaze Minato's heart, the past with Bai Yu was played like a documentary, but Namikaze Minato was not an ordinary ninja, but a Hokage! At this moment, Namikaze Minato needed to stay calm. Make yourself rational! Baking-Cheng was stunned. But after a pause, then why don't we go to fight, but choose to open the talisman formation? Why? With so many of us, can't we defeat that abominable guy? Baking-Cheng shouted with tears in her eyes. King Cheng, can you defeat your brother? Namikaze Minato said calmly. I can't. Baking-Cheng was completely discouraged by Namikaze Minato, and said painfully, how many times do you think Yu's current strength is yours? Namikaze Minato asked calmly again. What does this have to do with it? Baking-Cheng was about to collapse. At this time, she already had a bad feeling in her heart. As a dragon, Baking-Cheng believed in her feelings very much. If my judgment is correct, if we go to fight you directly, with Yu's strength, a life and death duel, he will definitely kill us easily. But now the enemy who is attacking, even Yu has no confidence. How can we fight? Namikaze Minato said here, clenching his fists. Do you think I don't want to? Yu's contribution to Konoha is not even as great as Yu's. Moreover, you and I, including them. Namikaze Minato pointed at Hatake Tsukumo and the others, and his excited words stopped instantly. One of us doesn't regard you as a brother. But now the whole Konoha is in danger. The talisman array left by you can gather our chakras together to form a protective shield. And it can also plunder the power of the spirit world. This power is enough to resist 10 enemies of Yu's strength. Even if we collapse and die because of extracting chakra, we must protect Konoha. Moreover, only by opening the talisman array can we play a huge role. Think about the simple people of Konoha. Think about our families. Do you still want to die? Namikaze Minato's words at this time, like a storm, slapped the hearts of Hatake Tsukumo, Inoshikacho and other ninjas. At this moment, including Baking-Cheng, a strong sense of responsibility rose in their hearts. Protect that sense of responsibility, everyone said firmly in their hearts. Where is the talisman array? Let's go. Baking-Cheng's tone was cold, but full of determination. Namikaze Minato did not say any extra nonsense or move, and took everyone to a secret room in the Hokage building. The location of this secret room shocked everyone deeply. It was at the bottom of the Hokage building, lower than the Anbu. Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto were lying in the yard. At this time, it was not suitable for both of them to make big movements, so Bai Yu asked someone to take care of them. Tsunade, who had closed her eyes to rest, opened her eyes. A strange feeling rose in Tsunade's heart. Why do I feel weird? Tsunade said puzzledly. What's wrong, sister? Uchiha Mikoto asked hurriedly after hearing Tsunade's words. You know, both of them are in a critical period now. Nothing, I just feel weird in my heart. I can't tell what I feel. Tsunade said thoughtfully. Did the baby kick you, sister? Uchiha Mikoto touched her belly happily and said with a smile. Maybe. Tsunade smiled upon hearing this, exuding the radiance of motherhood, and touched her belly. However, the strange feeling in Tsunade's heart always lingered, and it became stronger and stronger. But in order not to worry Uchiha Mikoto, Tsunade smiled and said nothing. Mom, Mikoto mom. When will daddy come back? Bai Yu ran over with a dirty face at this time, but the smile on his face was really bright. It proved that Bai Yu was very happy at this time. Your daddy has work to do. But, I guess he will be back soon. Tsunade touched Bai Yu's little head and said with a smile. Brother, daddy didn't keep his word. He clearly said that he would take us to the playground today. Bai Yu pouted and said unhappily. Sister, daddy must have something to do and was delayed, but I believe daddy will definitely keep his word. It's just a matter of sooner or later. Good things are worth looking forward to, aren't they? Baiki said in a virtuous brotherly manner. Kia is so sensible. Yes, your father must have been delayed by something. But don't worry, your father will definitely take you out to play. Tsunade looked at Baiki approvingly and said. Yes, Kia, take your sister out to play. As a brother, you must make your sister happy. Uchiha Mikoto was very pleased to see Baiki so sensible. She said with a smile. Yes, Joa knows. Don't worry, I won't blame daddy. I won't secretly pull daddy's hair. Bai Yu smiled and said cutely. After Bai Yu finished speaking, she pulled Baiki to the side to play in the mud. Sister, you said the two children are about to go to ninja school. Is it really okay not to practice chakra extraction? Uchiha Mikoto said to Tsunade on the side. My husband said that these two children are absolutely top-notch talents. It's okay to enjoy their childhood more, but I also think that the two children should practice. Tsunade also agreed with Uchiha Mikoto's words. However, the head of the family is Bai Yu, and as wives, Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto naturally have to listen to their husbands. The two smiled at each other and watched Baiki and Bai Yu playing together lovingly. Chapter 192 Tsunade wins. A layer of transparent ripples rippled in the sky above Konoha. This is the characteristic of the talisman array being activated. This secret room is very large. Basically, all the top ninjas of Konoha and the heads of various families were called here. Of course, the ninjas responsible for Konoha's defense were not here. In the Uchiha clan leader's mansion, Uchiha Itachi was practicing shuriken in the yard. As if he had sensed something, Uchiha Itachi looked up at the sky, and the shuriken appeared instantly. A ripple appeared in Uchiha Itachi's eyes. Uchiha Itachi frowned slightly and ran to Uchiha Missy. Mom, what do you see? Uchiha Itachi pointed to the sky and asked Uchiha Missy in confusion. Uchiha Missy's strength is also good. She can easily see the signs in the sky. Her eyebrows raised, but Uchiha Itachi was still young at this time and was not suitable to know these things, so Uchiha Missy smiled and said, the sky is very blue and there are white clouds. Are you talking about the bird that just flew over? No. Mom, which ripple is it? Uchiha Itachi's anxious face turned red. Pointing at the sky, he said anxiously. Oh, there are no ripples. By the way, Mom wants to ask you something. Uchiha Missy said with a smile. Mom doesn't have a Sharingan, so she probably can't see it. Forget it, let's wait for dad to come back and ask him. Uchiha Itachi thought about it and then asked, what's the matter, Mom? In a few months, you will have a younger brother. Will you treat your brother like Brother Shizu treats you? Uchiha Missy said gently. Brother? Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but recall the memories of Uchiha Shizu and himself. Recalling that Uchiha Shizu was always willing to poke his forehead when he was unhappy or depressed. However, the feeling of being poked on the forehead was really warm, a kind of inexplicable peace of mind. When I have a younger brother, I want him to treat me like Brother Shizu treats me. HMM. Yes, it's a younger brother. Uchiha Missy looked at Uchiha Itachi's thoughtful look and said with a smile, I will treat my brother like Brother Shizu treats me. Uchiha Itachi looked at Uchiha Missy's belly and said firmly, so good. Uchiha Missy touched Uchiha Itachi's head and said with a smile, "This is probably the most difficult time for me in this world. Even for Uchiha Madara, I don't feel this way." Bai Yu flew towards the direction of the terrifying breath in the air. He thought to himself. As the distance got closer and closer, the sense of oppression became stronger and stronger, and Bai Yu's face began to darken. But in a moment, Bai Yu approached. When he saw the face of the person coming, Bai Yu was stunned. A feeling of grief and anger enveloped Bai Yu's heart. This is not a person, but a dragon. A black dragon. The black dragon in memory. The black dragon that killed his parents and himself in his previous life. Roar. When the black dragon saw Bai Yu, a touch of shock flashed across his blood-red dragon eyes. Roar. Of course, this is a roar in the ears of ordinary people. But in Bai Yu's ears, this was not just a simple roar. It was the language of the dragon clan mocking the enemy. Bai Yu knew that this guy definitely recognized him, because the dragon clan does not look at the appearance, but the blood in the body. Sometimes, the blood in the body cannot be changed. Wushin. Bai Yu shouted angrily. "It's really you. What's your name, Bai something Yu? I didn't expect that I would let you have a chance to survive." The black dragon's name is Wushin. Wushin looked at Bai Yu, his dragon eyes full of disdain. As if Bai Yu was an ant. Bai Yu clenched his fists and clenched them tightly. His eyes were full of murderous intent. "But, it doesn't matter, no matter what kind of feather you are. You haven't even condensed your dragon body yet, so you are not a threat. Don't worry, I won't kill you today. You are just like an ant, and I don't want to dirty my hands. I thought it was the little girl you let go that year who awakened in this world. Judging from the power of awakening that day, only that little girl can pose a threat to me. She was able to break the space barrier and shocked me in the dragon world. It's really a wasted trip." But, Black Dragon Wushan spoke without any scruples in front of Bai Yu. After Black Dragon finished speaking, he showed a cruel bloody mouth to Bai Yu. Haha. Trash. Bai Yu thought Black Dragon was going to attack him, and the white feather sword suddenly appeared in front of him. He was about to resist Black Dragon Wushan's dragon breath, but Black Dragon retracted his head, and his dragon eyes were full of disdain. After Black Dragon Wushan ridiculed Bai Yu, he swung his tail like a dragon, and blew Bai Yu away. Then he soared up to 90,000 miles, and disappeared from this world. But, the white feather sword was broken. It was broken completely. Moreover, the tail of Black Dragon Wushan has its own black flame, which vaporizes Bai Yu's sword directly. Bai Yu was also hit at the moment when the sword broke. He fainted directly. His breath was looming, but fortunately, the inner pill in his body did not break, but continued to operate slowly, repairing Bai Yu's body at a very slow speed. At this time, Bai Yu's tendons and veins were damaged, and his internal organs were severely damaged. With Bai Yu's current strength, he was hit and suffered such a serious injury. It can be seen how powerful Black Dragon Wushan is. It's still wrong. Makoto, cooperate with me. Tsunade's inexplicable feeling in her heart became stronger and stronger. As if Tsunade seemed to have thought of something. Said to Makoto. "Okay sister. What should I do?" Uchiha Makoto said with a smile. Tsunade quickly asked someone to get 2 dice cups. Under Uchiha Makoto's unexpected eyes, the 2 people gambled once, and there were still some coins on the table. But in the end, Tsunade won. That's right. Tsunade won! Exclamation mark. Recalling the price of winning the first gamble and the second gamble, Tsunade's heart skipped a beat. Mom. Makoto mom. The ripples in the sky are so beautiful. At this moment, Baiyo's voice sounded beside him, and Baiki also responded, yes. It's so spectacular, this ripple is very regular. There is a mysterious feeling. Ripples. Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto hurriedly looked at the sky. A ripple like a wave of water loomed in the sky. Oh no. You two can see it? Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto said together. Tsunade's face was anxious. Uchiha Makoto's face was surprised. Uchiha Makoto was surprised that Baiki and Baiyo could actually see the ripples in the sky. Sister, what's wrong? However, when Uchiha Makoto heard Tsunade's words, she didn't care why Baiki and Baiyo could see the ripples in the sky, but looked at Tsunade with a serious expression. I'm going to the Hokage's office. Something might have happened to my husband. Tsunade thought about the results of her winning the last 2 times she gambled and hurriedly got up from the chair with great effort. She was about to leave. Sister. Slow down. I'll go with you. What can happen to my husband? He's so awesome. Uchiha Mikoto also got up with great effort and supported Tsunade. Beiki and Baiyo are very sensible. Although Baiyo is a little naughty, she is still very sensible at the critical moment. The 2 children supported Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto and walked towards the Hokage's office. Chapter 193 The Abilities of the Siblings. Spiritual World Words. Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto came to the Hokage's office. Kushina had been waiting here for a long time. Narashikaku had thought that Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto would notice the changes in the sky before releasing the talisman formation, so Namikaze Minato had to let Kushina wait for the 2 of them here. Kushina. Where's my husband? Why are you here? Uchiha Mikoto asked as soon as she entered. Kushina, tell me honestly, is there something wrong? Tsunade was relatively calm. At this time, Kushina finally knew why she was asked to come here. Namikaze Minato asked Kushina to come, but didn't say what happened. But Narashikaku lied to her and said that Kushina was a secret weapon. It turned out that the so-called secret weapon was to stabilize Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto. For a moment, Kushina was so angry. But what's the use of being angry? So she had no choice but to tell Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto about the matter. Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto knew that Konoha was under a powerful threat. Tears instantly fell from Uchiha Mikoto's eyes. Although Tsunade was heartbroken, she was rational and knew that now, except Bai Yu, no one could stop that terrifying guy. Tsunade sat on the sofa without saying a word, her eyes full of helpless anxiety. I also know that Bai Yu is in danger at this time, but for Konoha, this is also a last resort. If there is another way, I don't think I can do this. Kushina's comfort was very unconvincing. No, I want to find you. Even if I die, I want to be with you. Uchiha Mikoto said with a flash of firmness and determination in her eyes. Miss Koto, don't you consider the child in your belly? This time Kushina grasped the key point. Uchiha Mikoto heard what Kushina said and stopped talking instantly. I'll go. I will use medical ninjutsu to give birth to the child in my belly in advance. Miss Koto, you have to take good care of him. Tsunade said calmly on the side. When Kushina heard this, how could this be possible? Exclamation mark. Although she didn't have much medical knowledge, she also knew that doing so would not only cause great harm to the child, but also to Tsunade. No. Although I don't quite understand, can you guarantee that you can maintain your peak combat power after doing this? Kushina hurriedly grabbed Tsunade and said, although I can't guarantee my peak strength, I can still have 70% or 80% of it. Tsunade thought for a while and said, you have to know that even your peak strength may not be able to help you, let alone 70% or 80% of your strength. I believe you will be fine. Don't get excited. Kushina hurriedly said. The 3 women obviously ignored Beiki and Baiyo on the side. Brother, although Joa doesn't quite understand, but it seems that dad seems to be in danger. Baiyo pulled Beiki's clothes and his innocent eyes were suddenly filled with worry. Hearing this, Beiki touched Baiyo's head and said, don't be afraid, Joa, I believe dad will be fine. Do you still remember our ability? Beiki said with a smile, and then asked Baiyo mysteriously. Baiyo's watery eyes lit up. Remember. Do you want to use it? Baiyo said excitedly. By the way, these 2 siblings each have an ability without everyone knowing. Beiki nodded, and then a mysterious aura emanated from Beiki's body. Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto were both worried about Bai Yu and didn't notice it, while Kushina was trying her best to stabilize Tsunade and Uchiha Mikoto, with her attention completely on the 2 of them. Beiki's eyes strangely changed into the same Dharma Eyes as Bai Yu. I don't know who you are, but I want to see if my father is okay now. Beiki said in his heart. Yes. A dull voice sounded in Beiki's mind. Then the Teikai pattern in Beiki's eyes flowed, and a phantom rushed out of Beiki's eyes, and after a moment, it went back out of his eyes again. Report. The master's father, comatose in a forest 30 miles east. Seriously injured, but not in danger of life. The dull voice sounded again, and he didn't speak again after that. Who are you? Beiki couldn't help but ask curiously. Report. I'm the word spirit of the spirit world. I have no name, and I have signed a contract with my master, since I gained spiritual intelligence. The dull voice was a little confused. He didn't know who he was, but he knew that he was the word spirit of the spirit world. He learned this from Bai Yu, because Bai Yu had entered the spirit world, learned the spiritual language, and understood a lot of things in the spirit world. His Beiki was about to say something, but the pain in his eyes and the weakness in his body forced Beiki to put away his ability. Bai Yu's eyes were the same as Bai Yu's. Bai Yu put a tender little hand on Beiki's back, and a trace of coolness from Beiki's back soothed the pain in his eyes and the weakness in his body. Okay, sister. Dad is not in danger of life. He is just seriously injured. Beiki whispered to Bai Yu. Bai Yu also nodded slightly tiredly. Withdraw his ability. What Beiki didn't know was that although Bai Yu was unconscious, the spirit of the spirit world used Beiki's opportunity to find Bai Yu, which made Bai Yu feel something. You know, Bai Yu also has the Dharma Eye, and the power of the Dharma Eye is several times stronger than Beiki's. Should I tell Mom and Tsunade Mom? Beiki coaxed Bai Yu to sleep, because every time Bai Yu was tired, she liked to sleep, and nothing happened. When she woke up, Beiki looked at Tsunade and Orochimaru, and his heart was constantly entangled. Let's tell it. Save Mom and Tsunade Mom from worrying. Beiki glanced at Bai Yu, who fell asleep quickly, and ran to Tsunade and Orochimaru. Mom, at Tsunade Mom. Dad is fine. He was just seriously injured and fainted. There is no danger of life. In the woods 30 miles east of the village. Beiki looked at Tsunade and Orochimaru firmly and said. Tsunade, Orochimaru and Kushina were stunned when they heard what Beiki said. Okay. I know Kia is afraid that we will worry. Don't worry. Orochimaru held back the discomfort and anxiety in her heart, gently touched Beiki's head and said. No. I'm telling the truth. Beiki was anxious when he saw that Orochimaru didn't believe it. Well, I didn't want to expose my ability so early, but you didn't believe it. Oh. Kia, how did you know? Tsunade saw Beiki's look and immediately felt that Beiki didn't seem to be lying. So she asked. Because of this. Beiki pointed at his eyes, and his eyes turned into the eyes of the law again, and then disappeared. My ability is to control a guy who I don't know if it is a spirit world word spirit. I have asked him to help me many times. Every time is true, and this time is true too. Beiki has tried very hard to explain his ability, but Tsunade and Orochimaru still don't know what the spirit world word spirit in Beiki's mouth means. What does it mean to help him many times? Is it that Beiki has the help of a master? Tsunade and Orochimaru are very puzzled. But Kushina was shocked when she heard it. What? The word spirit of the spirit world. Kushina looked at Beiki in disbelief. Chapter 194 Beiki, are you a devil? What's wrong? Is there any danger? Orochimaru saw Kushina's look and thought there was something wrong, so she asked hurriedly. Kia, are you sure it's the word spirit from the spirit world? Kushina asked seriously, without answering Orochimaru's words. That's what he said. I wanted to tell my father, but I forgot when I started playing. Beiki said embarrassedly. Makoto, how can I put it? Kia's ability, really, I'm good at sealing techniques, you know. Kushina said with a complicated expression. I know. Orochimaru said nervously. The essence of the sealing technique is to communicate with the spirit world through the technique, to achieve the desired attack or sealing effect. Bai Yu learned the spirit language through the Dharma Eye, and used the spirit language as a medium to perform the technique. But Kia directly possessed the word spirit. In simple terms, Kia can directly let the word spirit of the spirit world perform the sealing technique. It seems that the medium should be Kia's Dharma Eye. Moreover, the word spirit has many abilities besides the ability of sealing technique. Kushina looked at Beiki with a complicated expression, and couldn't help but secretly thought that Bai Yu's son was really a monster. You know, the Uzumaki clan, as the most proficient clan in the sealing technique of the ninja world, is just good at the sealing technique. Bai Yu replaced the technique with language, and Beiki was even better, directly making a word spirit. So, is Kia not in any danger? Orochimaru only understood half of it, and she didn't understand the sealing technique at all. No. I tell you. without waiting for Kushina to finish. It's okay as long as there's no danger. I don't care about anything else. There's also you. I only care about whether Kia is in danger. Uchiha Makoto said straightforwardly. Beautiful. Kushina was so upset. Uchiha Makoto's words directly blocked Kushina's full words in her stomach. Originally, Kushina wanted to talk to Uchiha Makoto about Beiki's development. Kia, does JR also have special abilities? Tsunade looked at Bai Yu, who was sleeping soundly, and asked with a smile. Knowing that Bai Yu was not dead, she was relieved. She knew the abnormality of Bai Yu. As long as he didn't die, he would recover quickly like Xiao Qiang. Yes, Tsunade mother. JR also opened the same eyes as me. Every time I'll let that word spirit help me, my eyes would sting, and my body would be weak, but JR could restore me to my original state. Beiki said with a smile. It feels so good to be trusted! Exclamation mark. Kia, come here. Tsunade waved to Beiki. Beiki heard Tsunade's words and hurried over. Tsunade used chakra to probe Beiki's body. This exploration scared Tsunade. Her expression froze instantly. Uchiha Makoto, who had just relaxed, was worried again. Sister, what's wrong? Uchiha Makoto asked. This is incredible. Kia, follow me. Tsunade looked at Uchiha Makoto with an incredible expression. Then she said to Beiki. Under Tsunade's leadership, Beiki made a seal of clone technique. When the last seal was finished, for a while, the room was full of Beiki, just like stacked hearts. The office was packed. Tsunade was very calm when she saw this. HMPH. Tsunade threw a punch. Instantly blew up many of Beiki's clones. Kia, make the seal, release it. Tsunade blew up the clones and saw Beiki's real body. She said to the stunned Beiki. Beiki came back to his senses when he heard Tsunade's voice. He quickly released the clone technique. An ordinary clone technique? It can reach this level? Kushina said in disbelief. Kia, how is your consumption? Uchiha Makoto knew that so many clones consume a lot of chakra, especially since Beiki is still so young. She asked quickly. Mom, I don't feel anything. I just feel like something in my body has been taken away a little. But I should be able to do it more than 10 times. This game is really fun. When Joa wakes up, I will let Joa play with me. Beiki saw that many of himself appeared in an instant and then disappeared again, and he thought it was fun for a while. Seeing Bai Yu sleeping soundly, he instantly decided to tell Bai Yu about this game. Hearing Beiki's words, the three girls were stunned for a moment, surprised by Beiki's chakra reserves, and then 3 black lines appeared on their foreheads instantly. Other children are practicing the clone technique with great effort, and you actually treat this as a game. This is a ninjutsu, a ghost game! Exclamation mark. It seems that I will tell him when you is fine. Beiki's talent is really. Tsunade has a headache. It seems that Bai Yu's decision is right. Even if Beiki and Bai Yu play until they are 10 years old, they don't have to worry about their talents being delayed. Kia, do you remember the action just now? Tsunade recalled what Beiki said just now and asked quickly. Remember Tsunade mother? That's it. Beiki quickly made seals with both hands, and then Beiki filled the room again. Then he disappeared again. Seeing Beiki's seal making speed, the 3 women were stunned again. Beiki, are you a devil? And Beiki smiled happily. I wish I could wake Bai Yu up and let Bai Yu play this new game with me. The 3 women looked at each other, but didn't say anything, because they didn't know what to say. Beiki's talent is simply too terrifying! Exclamation mark. Although Kushina's belly was bulging, it was not as big as Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto. Hand Bai Yu to Tsunade, and Beiki, who fell asleep after playing tired, to Uchiha Makoto, and then send the 2 home. After settling down to play with 2 heavyweight pregnant women, Kushina's red hair naturally fluttered. A big devil smile appeared on his face. He was extremely calm, and walked towards the Hokage building with heavy steps. If Minato Namikaze was here, he would definitely run away immediately. Because this is the most dangerous moment. Kushina is already in a state of rage. It disappeared. Baking Cheng said calmly. Because Baking Cheng just felt that the powerful breath disappeared. You succeeded? A trace of excitement flashed in Minato Namikaze's eyes, so that when he spoke, there was an inadvertent tremor. I just felt the disappearance of that powerful breath. I don't know if it retreated or what happened, but it did disappear. King Cheng frowned slightly and said, King Cheng, you continue to lead everyone to hold up the talisman formation. I and Shikaku will go out and take a look. Minato Namikaze thought for a while and said. King Cheng nodded. But he was slightly relieved in his heart, but he didn't relax completely because Bai Yu didn't know what was going on. Minato Namikaze and Shikaku Nara had just come out of the secret room. Minato Namikaze felt a familiar sense of oppression in the distance. The neck turned mechanically to the side, seeing Kushina in danger. King Khan blockade. Minato, you are not allowed to use the flying thunder god technique. Kushina's shouting made Namikaze Minato stop his little tricks. He was trapped by Kushina with a helpless look on his face. Chapter 195. Only by knowing yourself can you go higher. After a while, Kushina walked into Minato Namikaze's office happily, followed by Minato Namikaze and Shikaku Nara with bruised faces. Who let Shikaku Nara fool Kushina? He suffered. But after listening to Kushina's words, Minato Namikaze threw a three-pronged kunai out of the window and disappeared in an instant. And Shikaku Nara followed closely behind. At this moment, nothing is more important than ensuring Bai Yu's safety. The weather is really like a woman's temper, changing at any time. The originally clear sky was instantly covered with dark clouds. However, the good thing is that it was not a heavy rain, but a light rain. Bai Yu slowly opened his eyes, said nothing, and looked at the sky. Let the rain drip on his face. At this time, except for Bai Yu's face on the surface, the man was buried in the soil. This time, the appearance of Black Dragon Wushan caused Bai Yu to suffer an unprecedented blow. I lost. The hoarse voice. The voice was full of vicissitudes. Bai Yu looked at the sky and said blankly. Then Bai Yu looked to his right, and the fragments of Bai Yu's sword quietly inserted into the ground. Am I really an ant? Bai Yu murmured in despair. Do I really have no capital for revenge? Bai Yu looked at the sky again and asked confusedly. Catch the sky, which was originally covered with dark clouds, became extremely gloomy, or thunder suddenly appeared in the sky. The rain was getting heavier. Bai Yu did not move at all, letting the mud and water splash on his face. Bai Yu felt his current situation. Although the meridians in his body were not broken, the large area of damage made Bai Yu's every breath a kind of pain. Just one blow, just one blow! Exclamation mark. A butterfly was flying in the rain. However, its situation was not very good. The rain was heavy, and it could be seen that the butterfly was struggling to fly. But this butterfly was still flying desperately. Bai Yu was stunned, like a body without a soul, looking at the flying butterfly. However, it didn't last long before the butterfly fell to the ground under the beating of the rain. Motionless. Bai Yu was almost in despair. He was no different from the butterfly. The rain came quickly and left quickly. The sun reappeared in the sky. Bai Yu still stared at the butterfly blankly. I don't know how long it took. The butterfly moved. The butterfly stretched its wings. Bai Yu noticed that the butterfly's wings were bigger than before. The butterfly first shook off the water on its body, then stretched its wings and flew again. This time the butterfly flew very easily and casually. As if sensing something, the butterfly hovered over Bai Yu's face for a moment. Then it landed on Bai Yu's nose. But after landing for a while, it flew away. As if to vent the depression that had just been drenched by the rain, it flew very proudly. He can be as strong as he wants, and the breeze blows over the hills. He can be as arrogant as he wants, and the bright moon shines on the river. Destroy and then stand. Just because you are not as strong as him now, it doesn't mean you will never be as strong as him. Bai Yu seemed to have grasped something. His eyes were empty. But he no longer had the aura of decay and decadence, but became stronger little by little. It seems that I'm really used to playing with the wind in my hand. I don't know how to play when the wind is against me. Defend the high ground. Develop in a sneaky way. Don't be reckless. Defend the high ground and you will turn the table sooner or later. Ha. After Bai Yu laughed at himself, he regained his confidence. Continue to bury in the soil. It's not that Bai Yu doesn't want to move. But he can't move. The meridians in his body are damaged. Even breathing hurts, let alone moving. But at this time, Bai Yu has woken up. Try to control the chakra in his body. However, his damn, it hurts. Bai Yu had no choice but to rely on his strong physique to slowly recover. However, I remember that there was something hovering around me to check on me before. It was very familiar. Was it a ghost? Don't people in this world go to the Pure Land after death? How can there be such a thing? Forget it. I will know it sooner or later. It's just a matter of strength. When I have enough strength, I will go to meet the guy whose life I robbed several times. Thinking of this, Bai Yu couldn't help but smile bitterly. Although I'm considered the top in this world, there are still many unknown strong people. It seems that I was really arrogant before. I thought I was invincible. How stupid. Bai Yu laughed at himself, but his eyes were full of fighting spirit. People should recognize themselves and continue to work hard. People go to high places and water flows to low places, which is absolutely true. You, where are you? Two familiar shouts came from the distance. Namikaze, Minato and Naruto. Bai Yu smiled. The difference between having brothers and not having brothers is here. Before Bai Yu finished speaking, an amazing scene appeared. Hey. I just seemed to hear a shout. Namikaze Minato heard Bai Yu shout two words, very clear, but there was no sound in an instant. He frowned and said to Naruto, I heard it too. It seems that Yu is nearby. Naruto said with his eyes lit up. Yeah. Namikaze Minato's eyes also lit up. He took a step forward. Asshole. The voice appeared. Hey. I heard it again. Naruto stopped and shouted happily. Exclamation mark. I heard it too. But where is it? Namikaze Minato frowned and said anxiously. Look again. It should be around here. Naruto and Namikaze Minato walked forward again. Oh my god. You two bastards. Lower your heads. I'm in the ground. You stepped on my face. Bai Yu's voice was clearly heard by Namikaze Minato and Naruto. This angry shout scared Namikaze Minato and Naruto. The two hurriedly looked at the ground around them. They saw two footprints on Bai Yu's face, and his clear eyes were full of anger. Looking at the two people. Exclamation mark. Haha, embarrassing. I didn't see it. Namikaze Minato said embarrassedly. I didn't expect you to be buried in the soil. Naruto's eyes flashed with a strange color. Even Bai Yu ended up like this, so you can imagine how powerful the enemy is. Get him out of here quickly. I can't move. Bai Yu said unhappily. Good. Minato, Namikaze and Shikaku Nara realized that Bai Yu was seriously injured. They quickly dug Bai Yu out. Oh my god. Be gentle, it hurts. Bai Yu was taken out by two rough men, and the injuries on his body were agitated. He was in so much pain that he couldn't help but shout out. Bai Yu, who was dug out, was put on the ground. Now, seeing Bai Yu's miserable state, Minato, Namikaze and Shikaku Nara's eyes were a little wet. Bai Yu was like mud. And Bai Yu finally knew why he was in so much pain. Not only were his meridians damaged, but all the bones in his body, except for the skull, were basically broken. Have you ever seen an arm that was bent into an arc? Little earthworm, are you stupid? Connect my arm. Does the arc look good? Bai Yu couldn't help but scold unhappily. Good. Naruto, who was stunned, quickly put Bai Yu's arm in place. He didn't even care about being called a little earthworm. Bai Yu, your sword. Minato Namikaze saw the pieces, observed them and shouted in shock. You are the cheap one. Bai Yu felt that he was about to be mad to death. No, I mean your sword is broken. Minato Namikaze explained hurriedly. Broken. There is no way. It was broken so thoroughly that even the living steel can't repair it. In fact, even the function has faded. Bai Yu said with a helpless smile. Minato Namikaze and Shikaku Nara didn't speak. They bowed their heads in silence, their faces heavy, and the enemy's strength can be imagined. Looking at Bai Yu, who was still tough for a while, my heart was full of admiration. Chapter 196 Treatment from Bai Yu. Bai Yu fainted while being carried. The reason was pure pain. Two rough guys, you can imagine. It would be strange if they could be gentle. After Bai Yu woke up, looking at the ceiling and the unique smell, Bai Yu knew that he was in the hospital at this time. His body still hurt, but it seemed that the pain had eased a little. However, he still couldn't move. The damage to the meridians couldn't be healed so quickly. Bai Yu looked at himself and was wrapped like a zangzi. Fortunately, the majestic part was not wrapped, otherwise Bai Yu was really afraid of getting lice. At that time, not only would it itch, but he couldn't move. Who would scratch him? Haha. Brother, are you awake? Daddy. Dad. Bai Yu looked around and saw Baking Cheng sitting on his left and the two little guys on his right. Seeing the concern in Baking Cheng's eyes and the happiness in the eyes of the two little guys, Bai Yu felt a little warm in his heart. Well, I'm awake. How long have I slept? Bai Yu smiled at the two little guys and then asked Baking Cheng. It's been a week. The two sisters-in-law are not mobile and I didn't let them move around more after coming a few times. Baking Cheng breathed a sigh of relief and said, a week. It's been so long. This time is really the most difficult time ever. Bai Yu said with a bitter face. Okay, it's good that you wake up. I'll take Kira and Joa back first. Tell the two sisters-in-law and then bring some food. Baking Cheng's eyes flashed with fatigue. It's okay, I'm not in a hurry. You just go back and have a good rest. There must be food in the hospital. Come to see me after you rest well. Bai Yu was very keen to detect the fatigue. I guess Baking Cheng should be here to guard him day and night. Bai Yu said softly. Okay then. You made me not sleep for several days. Humph. Are you really okay? Although Baking Cheng said this, she was still very happy to see that Bai Yu was fine. Girls are all like that, with a sharp tongue, but a soft heart, which can be reflected in the greetings that follow. I'm really fine. It's just that my meridians are damaged. When the meridians are repaired by themselves, I can circulate chakra to restore my body. Bai Yu said with a smile. Daddy, let Joa treat you. Bai Yu's height at this time was only a little higher than the bed. Bai Yu showed a little head beside Bai Yu's hand, and she looked so cute. Seeing Bai Yu's serious look, Bai Yu couldn't bear to refuse. In Bai Yu's heart, he only thought that Bai Yu was learning the game of playing house and playing the role of a doctor. Bai Yu couldn't help but touch Bai Yu's little head, but this movement involved a series of pain nerves in Bai Yu. Bai Yu subconsciously frowned slightly, but instantly showed a smile, without moving, but looked at Bai Yu and said, my Joa, when did you become so powerful that you can treat others? Come on, treat daddy. Baking Cheng easily captured this subtle change in expression, and she knew what kind of personality Bai Yu had. Even Bai Yu frowned slightly. How painful it must be. Daddy, I feel the pain in you. Joa is coming. Bai Yu closed her eyes, then opened them, looked at Bai Yu and said sweetly, and tried to raise her little hand above her head, and put it on Bai Yu's hand. Painful emotions? Exclamation mark. Feel. Exclamation mark. What? Exclamation mark. This. Bai Yu was stunned for a moment when he heard Bai Yu's words, but the next second made Bai Yu even more surprised. Exclamation mark. Bai Yu's eyes instantly turned into the appearance of a Dharma Eye. A coolness entered his body from Bai Yu's hand. This energy slowly covered Bai Yu's meridians from his hand. Bai Yu widened his eyes. He looked at Bai Yu in disbelief. Bai Yu was very familiar with this feeling. This was the feeling of Yang attribute chakra treatment. However, unlike the chakra condensed by the ninja, Bai Yu's chakra was more refined and purer. If the chakra condensed by the ninja is compared to blended wine, then Bai Yu's chakra is the original wine. Moreover, Bai Yu could easily feel his meridians being repaired. And it was repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye. But not long after, Bai Yu couldn't hold on anymore, and the Dharma Eye disappeared. He said in a weak voice, Daddy, I'm sorry, Joa still didn't heal you completely. Obviously, when I treated my brother, I was able to heal him. Bai Yu immediately realized something when he heard it and thought about it and said with a smile, Joa is so amazing. The reason why daddy was not cured was because daddy's injury was too serious this time, much more serious than when I treated my brother. But after Joa's treatment, daddy can move. Look. After Bai Yu finished speaking, he didn't change his face and tremblingly touched Bai Yu's head. His face turned pale, but the smile remained. Look, daddy can move. Bai Yu said with a smile. Yeah. Joa feels that daddy's physical pain has decreased a lot. No, Joa is so sleepy. After Bai Yu finished speaking, He fell head first, and Beiki quickly helped Bai Yu. Baking Cheng took Bai Yu from Beiki and held her in her arms. Put Bai Yu's little head on her shoulders. Let Bai Yu sleep more comfortably. Kia, tell me, when did you and your sister open your eyes, and when did you awaken your abilities? What is your ability? Bai Yu said to Beiki with a hint of joy in his eyes. It should be a year ago. Once my sister and I played with our abilities. After I used my abilities, I felt a sting in my eyes and felt weak all over. Then my sister treated me. My ability is to control a guy who calls himself a spirit in the spirit world. Beiki thought for a while and said, oh. Bai Yu was a little surprised. He knew about the spirits in the spirit world. There are many spirits of all kinds in the spirit world. The abilities are different, but they are all very rare and ancient. It seems that it was this spirit that came to investigate me when I was unconscious before, using Beiki as a medium to search for me. The spirit with this ability should be very powerful. It should be a spell type spirit. If it is a warrior type spirit, it must not have this ability. Well, when Dad recovers, I will take you to practice and let you figure out your own abilities. You go home with your aunt first. Bai Yu pondered for a while and then came up with a plan in his mind. He said to Beiki with a smile. Baking Cheng nodded to Bai Yu, took Beiki, and walked out of the ward with Bai Yu in his arms. After Baking Cheng left, Bai Yu felt the condition of his body and couldn't help but sighed. You are worthy of being my offspring. Follow the roots. Awesome. Originally, the meridians were damaged by about 90%, and if it was 10% more, it would have ruptured. Now, under Bai Yu's treatment, 50% has been repaired. The degree of damage to the meridians is 40%. At this level, Bai Yu can already endure the pain to circulate the chakra in his body to recover from the injury, unlike before, when even breathing hurt. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Arrogant and Brave Generals. Bai Yu did not hesitate and immediately started to practice Bai Staffer. Although there was a slight blockage due to the large amount of chakra running, Bai Yu's injuries were gradually getting better while running. The nurse who was patrolling recently thought that Bai Yu was sleeping, so she quietly checked Bai Yu and left with a red face. It was not that the nurse had a crush on Bai Yu, but when practicing Bai Staffer, it would stimulate the blood and ki. And Bai Yu still had enough. The tent was too high, so the nurse couldn't help but run out of the ward with a blushing face. Of course, Bai Yu didn't know this. Bai Yu had already practiced the exercises with all his heart and soul to repair himself. At dawn the next day, Bai Yu completely recovered the damage to his meridians. The rest was the recovery of the whole body's bones. Bai Yu was not running the exercises, so he couldn't recover in a hurry. Tsunade and Orochimaru came to the ward early with the help of Baking Cheng. Seeing this, Bai Yu hurriedly said, "Hey, why are you two here? How can you be so reckless?" After that, Bai Yu was anxious to get out of bed. "Brother, don't move. Stop. I only have 2 hands. I can't help you." Baking Cheng saw Bai Yu's action and said hurriedly, "What a joke. I need to help you." Bai Yu said proudly. Bai Yu floated in the air like a hanged ghost. His body seemed not to be his own, swaying with the wind. There was no way Bai Yu couldn't control his whole body with broken bones. You know, a week ago, Bai Yu's arms were accidentally swung into a beautiful arc by Naruto. "Brother, lie down on the bed honestly." Baking Cheng took a look at Bai Yu, who was swaying in the wind and floating in the air, and said unhappily with a black line on his head. Seeing Bai Yu so alive and kicking, Tsunade and Orochimaru were relieved and smiled at each other. "Hehe. Daddy is so funny." Bai Yu couldn't help laughing. Exclamation mark. A pair of small hands, covering the mouth, eyes narrowed into a crescent. The cute look makes people like it. Beiki also had a smile on his face, but he was a bit calm, so he didn't show a childish attitude like Bai Yu. Bai Yu couldn't help shaking his body when he heard Bai Yu's words, but Bai Yu was having a lot of fun. Crack crack. A series of bone sounds that made people's teeth ache came from Bai Yu's body. Bang. Bai Yu fell to the ground. Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto smiled helplessly. Bai Yu was really, sometimes so childish. Hehe. Seeing this, Bai Yu laughed even more happily. Baking Cheng covered her forehead helplessly. She let go of the hands that supported Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto and walked to Bai Yu's side. At this time, Bai Yu fell to the ground with his face flushed. It was not because he was embarrassed or ashamed, but because it hurt. Exclamation mark. He just showed off a little and instantly felt that his lumbar vertebrae were dislocated and then corrected under the action of inertia. However, the bones of his whole body jumped a little, which was enough for Bai Yu to eat a pot. Baking Cheng picked up Bai Yu from the ground in a bad mood and then put her on the bed. Her movements were extremely rough. When she saw that Bai Yu could float in the air, she knew that her meridians had recovered. With Bai Yu's ability, this was nothing. Oh my god, you are really my sister. Pure. Baking Cheng's movements made Bai Yu's eyes pop up with stars in pain. After calming down, Bai Yu said angrily, "Let you show off. I told you not to move. You still move. It seems that you are not good at showing off." Baking Cheng said unhappily. Bai Yu smiled. He started chatting with Tsunade, Uchiha Makoto and Baking Cheng. Seeing that Bai Yu was in such good spirits, Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto were completely relieved. This morning, the 8 members of the old dragon group completed their mission and the first batch came back. What? Bai Tao is seriously injured. Hospitalized? Oh my god. One after another, the 8 new members of the dragon team who had completed their missions, and all the members of the dragon team who had completed their missions, came back in the second batch. Impossible. With the teacher's strength, how could it be possible? No, I wonder why those old guys are running to the hospital. Let's go to Moonlight House. What? Something happened to the teacher? Are you kidding, Xian? I'm not kidding. I'll go. With the dragon team returning from their mission, the Konoha hospital became lively. Asakura, don't squeeze me. Because the hospital corridor was very narrow, the 8 old members of the dragon team were all very anxious to see Bai Yu, so no one let anyone else squeeze forward. Nerarakiru was the first to say this with anger. There was no way. They had just finished the mission and killed a lot of people, and they had no time to calm down. The 8 people were full of murderous aura. Did I squeeze him? Ichigo is right next to me. Hinata Asakura replied unhappily. Actually, it was not Hinata Asakura's fault. Akimichi Ichigo occupied half the width of the corridor. Crack. Uchiha Genji cursed inwardly and jumped over the heads of the 3 people. Fortunately, he was high enough. Yamanaka Hiji and Inuzuka Gora also jumped over after seeing this. So, the sound of cursing came one after another. From the first floor to the second floor. And Bai Yu was on the 4th floor. But not long after, there was another round of cursing, and this time it was much more lively than the last time. The 8 new dragon group members and all the dragon group ninjas are here. For a while, the medical ninjas in the hospital had a headache. It can be said that except for Bai Yu, the ninjas of the dragon group in Konoha only listened to Namikaze Minato, a bunch of arrogant and brave generals. Hatake Kakashi, you should walk faster. You are blocking my way. Uchiha Obito shouted with a bad face. Idiot, look ahead. Hatake Kakashi glanced at Uchiha Obito and pointed ahead. In front of Uchiha Shizu, who was at the front, there were still 8 members of the old dragon group jumping continuously. Old guys. Hurry up. Don't block the road. Since Tachibana Yukio recovered, Uchiha Obito once again took on the responsibility of Little Flame. Are you itching for a fight? If I wasn't anxious to see my old man, I would definitely give you a break. Kuramako Kumo didn't look back, but shouted loudly. Asshole. You actually called me Little Flame. Damn it. Uchiha Obito cursed inwardly. He also learned to jump over the head of Hatake Kakashi. Holding a ball of flame in his hand, he burned Kuramako Kumo. Watch the fire, old thief. Uchiha Obito didn't want to attack from behind, especially since they were compatriots, so he shouted, Idiot. Kakashi Hatake cursed in his heart. As one of the 8 members of the old dragon group, how could he be so easy to deal with? Little guy. Burn yourself. Kuramaji-Uan looked back at Uchiha Obito, smiled sinisterly, and cast an illusion. Uchiha Obito originally stretched out the fireball towards Kuramaji-Uan, but subconsciously backhanded it to protect his face. Uchiha Obito, awakened by the burning sensation, quickly untied the illusion. He yelled, "Kuan, old thief, I will definitely burn your hair. All of it. I will never leave a single hair." Hearing Uchiha Obito shout, Kuramaji subconsciously glanced down. This kid is so insidious. Kuramaji said silently in his heart. Chapter 198 Ha, God Obito, I admit defeat! Exclamation mark. When Moonlight Gale dragged Yuzuki Yugeo to the hospital, the ninjas of the dragon group had already started a melee. Seeing the helpless look on the faces of the medical ninjas and the patients, Moonlight Gale could not help but sigh that the teachers were all elites. The ninjas of the dragon group were also very measured, and the chakra was only condensed in their hands, just like Uchiha Obito. Moonlight Gale saw this, and his eyes turned. "Yugeo, go slowly, don't worry, I'll go first," Moonlight Gale said to Yuzuki Yugeo. Yuzuki Yugeo knew what Moonlight Gale meant, nodded and didn't say anything. Moonlight Gale's figure became fainter and fainter until it disappeared. This is the transparent escape. This is a blood limit that can eliminate one's own breath and make the whole body transparent. It also has an unknown ability, which is to pass through objects according to one's own will, commonly known as crossing. Haha, manual funny. In the state that no one can see, Moonlight Gale walked forward expressionlessly. Of course, he walked close to the wall. Although he could pass through objects, ninjutsu could not pass through them. Moreover, when passing through objects, even if you have to control your bloodline limit, you still have to dodge those swinging blades and moonlight gusts. If you are not careful and don't see them, how unfair it would be for you to die. Moreover, with the current strength, this bloodline limit can't last long. The Bai Yu family, who were still laughing and chatting, heard the increasingly clear noise outside. Bai Yu's eyes flashed a helpless smile, but his heart was warm. Calculating it should be today's mission to return. I didn't expect that he would come to see me so enthusiastically just after returning. Bai Yu smiled and shouted, "You guys. If you don't keep quiet, wait until I get better, all of you will go back to the furnace, and I will train you personally." Bai Yu used all his strength in this shout, which was very penetrating. The noise outside stopped instantly, and the elites of the dragon group silently walked towards Bai Yu's ward into lines. This made the patients in the corridor sigh that the majesty of Lord Bai Yu was really strong. Including the medical ninjas who were having a headache, they couldn't beat him or scold him. Bai Yu's shout made the medical ninjas admire him and feel relieved. If the noise continues like this, will some of the seriously ill patients die suddenly? Moonlight Gale, who had already reached the door, was shocked when he heard Bai Yu shout and almost couldn't control his escape. You know, Moonlight Gale was passing through a stool at this time, and the position was very awkward. If he didn't control it, his second half of life would be over. However, when Moonlight Gale came to Bai Yu's door, his eyes turned, and he didn't choose to open the door, but went straight in. Bai Yu's Dharma Eye was always open, and he couldn't close it, even if he wanted to. As soon as Moonlight Gale came in, Bai Yu felt his breath, and then subconsciously looked at the door, and easily found Moonlight Gale. Beiki and Baiyao also opened their Dharma Eyes, because the two little guys also felt that there was an extra breath in this room. The two little guys looked at the door at the same time. "Daddy, Brother Jiffin is here." Baiyao jumped and ran towards Moonlight Jiffin, shouting happily while running. Moonlight Jiffin reluctantly released the transparent escape, but he didn't expect that not only Bai Yu discovered him, but even Beiki and Baiyao discovered him. "Teacher, Jiffin is here to see you. That Xian is at the back. I didn't come empty-handed. I had everything in Xian's hands. It was mainly because I was anxious to see the teacher that I used the transparent escape to come first." Moonlight Jiffin touched Baiyao's little head and said respectfully to Bai Yu. Moonlight Jiffin was the youngest among Bai Yu's disciples, so he played well with Beiki and Baiyao, and Baiyao was also very attached to Moonlight Jiffin. Although Moonlight Jiffin had a pair of dead fish eyes like Hatake Kakashi, Moonlight Jiffin was much gentler than Hatake Kakashi. "What are you talking about, brat? Am I that kind of person?" "Really?" Bai Yu said in feigned anger. Teacher, how is your injury?" Moonlight Jiffin asked with a smile. "It's nothing serious. I can do it. Ahem. I'll be back in a few days." Bai Yu was about to say that he could fly, but thinking of his embarrassment in the morning, he quickly changed his words. Master's wife, Master's aunt. Yu Guangjifeng remembered that he hadn't greeted Tsunade, Uchiha Makoto and Baking Chin yet, and hurriedly said softly. The three women smiled and nodded without saying anything. But the next second, a dramatic scene appeared again. Bang, the door of the ward was directly knocked open. Asakura, I came in first, don't squeeze me. Uchiha Genji and Hyuga Asakura, two rough guys, were directly blocked by the door frame. Both of them wanted to rush in, but they couldn't get in, even though they were squeezed, and their faces were red. Uchiha Genji shouted angrily. Genji, are you blind? Look at my feet. It was obviously me who came in first. You squeezed me. Hyuga Asakura also responded angrily. Uchiha Genji looked down, and couldn't help cursing again. Damn, they are just a little bit further than me. How dare you be so shameless. Pink eye disease, cataracts. Hurry up and get in, what are you dawdling for? Akimichi Ichito outside saw the two people squeezed together and shouted angrily. Fatty, if you say another word, believe it or not, we will beat you up together. Uchiha Genji and Hinata Asakura turned around and said in unison, looking for death. Bang, bang. When Akimichi Ichito heard the three words fatty, he directly performed the partial multiplication technique, and his fist as high as the door pushed the two people in directly. In the process, the door frame was directly scrapped. In front! Exclamation mark. What are you dawdling for? This uncle still needs to go in. The shouting of the idiot Uchiha Obito came from far behind. Haha, that's great. You guys are awesome. I just got hurt, and you're so irritable? If anything happens to me, I'm afraid Konoha will be ruined. Bai Yu glanced back and forth with a forced smile at Uchiha Genji and Hinata Asakura on the ground, and Akimichi Ichito who came in later. The sarcastic words made the three of them shudder. They immediately became obedient. Then Narashikaki, Yamanaka Hiji, Aburame Chizuru, Kuramaka Okumo, and Inuzuka River also came in one after another. Then came Uchiha Shisu, Hatake Kakashi, Tachibana Yukio, Might Guy, Sarutobi Asuma, Nohara and Yuhi Kurenoi. However, after they came in, they saw Bai Yu's forced smile, and they didn't say anything, but stood there, standing straight. But when Uchiha Obito came in, the scene changed. Hey, you are all here. I'll let you squeeze in. You must be confused when you see the teacher. Hello, teacher. Hello, teacher's wife. Hello, teacher's aunt. Teacher, your beloved disciple is here to see you. Are you unable to move now? Do you want me to get you a wheelchair and take you out for a walk? The god Uchiha Obito was showing off his ferocity like crazy. For a moment, everyone who came in first, including Gekko Hayate, was trying hard to hold back their smiles. Inuzuka Gora tried the hardest to hold back his smile, silently pinching his thigh. At this time, everyone was shouting in their hearts, I admit defeat to the god Obito! Exclamation mark. Chapter 199. The Dragon Clan inherited the memory. Obito, come here. Bai Yu's smile became more and more intense. Here I am, teacher. If you have something to say, just tell me. Your beloved disciple will definitely do it for you. Uchiha Obito grinned, walked to Bai Yu's side, and leaned his face over. Come on, strike a handsome pose. Bai Yu said with a smile. Is this okay? Uchiha Obito put his left hand in his trouser pocket and stroked his forehead with his right hand. He asked with a smile. ****an. Immobilization technique. Bai Yu recited a spiritual language, cast a divine spell, and immobilized Uchiha Obito. Hey, K, put this kid at the door. The immobilization technique will be lifted in 2 hours. Bai Yu said with a fake smile. Hehe, you deserve to be so proud. Haha. Might Guy smiled with his white teeth, came to Uchiha Obito, and laughed at him mercilessly. Might Guy effortless moved Uchiha Obito to the door. His immobilization technique was still very powerful. Uchiha Obito's expression remained unchanged. However, Uchiha Obito was shouting in his heart, Teacher, what's wrong with me? Am I not your beloved disciple? Teacher. Everything returned to calm. Bai Yu's injuries were recovering little by little. Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto stayed at home because they were becoming more and more inconvenient to move. Baking Cheng once again returned to the casino and became the mainstay. As for Bai Yu, he was taken care of by Gekko Hayate and Yuzuki Yugeo. Because Uchiha Shisu and the others still needed to perform tasks, Gekko Hayate and Yuzuki Yugeo had just graduated from the ninja school. It would take some time to assign and guide ninjas, so they had time to take care of Bai Yu. Bai Yu was not idle either. He taught Gekko Hayate and Yuzuki Yugeo during the day and studied himself at night. Black Dragon Wushan said that day that he did not condense a dragon body. All along, Bai Yu's memories of the Dragon Clan were just passing by, only caring about the memory, but not the inherited memory. In the past, Bai Yu felt that he was very strong now, and there was no need to study those, but now, Bai Yu has an extra mission in his life, that is, revenge. According to the records and the inherited memory of the Dragon Clan is divided into two systems. Most male dragons have strong dragon power, strong blood, and strong strength. Most female dragons have strong mana. The blood is not very strong, and the strength is not very strong, but the strength of mana is not to be underestimated. The Dragon Clan is the spirit clan between heaven and earth. Born as a spirit body, of course, the so-called spirit body of the Dragon Clan is not the body of the soul, but the purest physique without impurities. Before adulthood, the dragon body of the Dragon Clan has not yet condensed, and there is no obvious difference in strength and mana. When the dragon body is condensed, it will begin to grow according to its own talent. Baking Cheng is a standard giant dragon with strong mana, a female dragon with water attributes. And Bai Yu in the previous life was one of the few dragons, male dragons but with strong mana, and they are airspace attributed dragons. But that was all in the past. But in this life, according to the memory, Bai Yu is a dragon with dual talents, a dragon with both yin and yang mana and strength. And the black dragon Wushan is just a power type dragon. As for the dragon flame at the dragon's tail, it is just a manifestation of strong blood. You should know that when Bai Yu awakened his blood, the heat almost burned through the surface of the earth. The condensation of the dragon body is not difficult, but it takes a long time. But after reading the memory, Bai Yu couldn't help but feel fortunate that he practiced according to the Bai family's method. If he really wanted to extract chakra from hundreds of trillions of cells according to this world, Bai Yu would cry to death. Extracting chakra from cells is equivalent to extracting one's own potential. The first requirement for condensing a dragon body is to make one's body reach the state of chaos and perfection. That is when the dragon was just born. Bai Yu has already achieved this. The second requirement is to condense one's own dragon blood and condense it into dragon marrow. Replace the bone marrow of your entire body with dragon marrow. The third requirement is to use dragon marrow to temper the bones and temper them into dragon bones. The fourth requirement is to temper all the internal organs and skin with dragon blood. After meeting these requirements, the dragon body will be formed. Exclamation mark. After the dragon body is formed, the body will change according to the talent. As for the specific changes, it is said in memory that every dragon has different changes. Bai Yu thought about it. His dragon blood had already awakened, and now his whole body was broken. Although it has healed a little, if he replaced the bone marrow now, it would definitely be better than the intact bones that were broken and tempered. For a while, Bai Yu was a little grateful to the black dragon guy. If this guy hadn't broken all his bones by mistake, he wouldn't have been so easy. He did it right away. For several days in a row, Bai Yu was condensing dragon blood. And the dragon blood became darker day by day as Bai Yu condensed. But when the dragon blood was deep enough, the color began to fade. Finally it turned into silver. Finally, there was a hint of gold on the silver. Two different colors of halos. Bai Yu felt a sense of emotion in his heart. The old saying, that blood is thicker than water is not wrong. In the previous life, his mother was a golden dragon, and his father was a silver dragon. Bai Yu did not hesitate, and directly injected the condensed bone marrow that was shining with gold and silver into the fracture crack. After a moment, Bai Yu couldn't help but sigh. It's careless. The bone marrow entered the bone, just like lighting a fuse. It was also like a prairie fire. The original bone marrow was instantly ignited by the condensed bone marrow. The tingling feeling in the bones and the burning feeling made Bai Yu gradually collapse. The pain was nothing. Bai Yu was surprised to find that after his bone marrow was ignited, it decreased a little bit. Bai Yu, who originally had a fluke mentality, thought that if it burned, it would be born, but it didn't. Exclamation mark. Bai Yu checked his memory again. Seeing this, Bai Yu secretly cursed himself for being impulsive. Others condensed dozens or hundreds of drops of dragon marrow before starting to replace the original bone marrow. But he condensed one drop and started to replace it. Bai Yu didn't have time to think and hurriedly tried his best to condense. In the past, he condensed slowly. This time, Bai Yu condensed desperately in order to avoid becoming disabled. As the dragon marrow entered the bones drop by drop, the tingling and burning sensations also intensified little by little. I don't know how long it took, and the cool feeling appeared, soothing all the pain of Bai Yu, and finally made it through. Bai Yu sighed with relief. However, this time Bai Yu was also a blessing in disguise. The broken bones were healed. Moreover, Bai Yu was surprised to find that these newly grown bones were accompanied by gold and silver halos. But the bones that were intact before were still the same, but the color was a little better, and they could be sold at a good price. When Bai Yu opened his eyes, he saw Baking Cheng with a pair of obvious dark circles under his eyes. This time, half a month. I haven't slept for half a month. I was forced to protect the law by my sister-in-law. Without waiting for Bai Yu to ask, Baking Cheng said with a deep resentment. Haha. Bai Yu had to return an awkward smile instead of politeness. Chapter 200 Baki and Bai Yao's abilities are confirmed. Bai Yu, who can jump and run, naturally can't stay in the hospital. Baking Cheng, with two dark circles under her eyes, went back home with Bai Yu after completing some discharge procedures. Baking Cheng finally couldn't bear it anymore, and without saying a word, she went into her room and fell asleep. There was still some snoring, but it wasn't very loud. It should be, because she stayed up all night. Of course, no one knew, otherwise the image of the goddess would probably be ruined. After a peaceful night's sleep at home, Bai Yu still couldn't do anything. After all, Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto's stomachs were still big. Get up. Joa. Come here. Early in the morning, Bai Yu had nothing to do and was drinking tea in his yard. Thinking that he didn't have an accurate understanding of Baki and Bai Yao's abilities, he called the two children to the yard. Daddy. Dad. Baki and Bai Yao were both sleepy, and you could tell at a glance that they had just gotten up. Well, Joa, let Dad see your abilities again. After Baki finished speaking, the Teikai pattern hidden deep in his eyes slowly flowed in his eyes. Wow. Daddy, your eyes are the same as mine. Bai Yao shouted in surprise when he saw Bai Yu's eyes. Dad, are your eyes the same as mine and my sister's? Baki also asked in surprise. Nonsense, you two are my children. My eyes are not like this, so can yours be? Bai Yu couldn't help but laugh and scold when he heard the two little guys' words. A dragon gives birth to a dragon, a phoenix gives birth to a phoenix, and a mouse's son can dig holes. For the two little guys, although they are very smart, this truth is still beyond their understanding. Well, Daddy, look. Bai Yao didn't understand why Bai Yu said that, but still showed his Dharma Eye, and each of his hands had pattern energy. Bai Yu could see the chakra in Bai Yao's body like a searchlight through the Dharma Eye, and this chakra was of yin and yang attributes. However, Bai Yu couldn't see the attributes hidden in this chakra. Then Bai Yu sent his energy into Bai Yao's body and carefully examined it. When Bai Yu explored Bai Yao's eyes, although the pupil power could not be compared with his own, the basic attributes were the same. However, the performance of yin-yang chakra is different from his own. When Bai Yu saw Bai Yao's Dharma Eye space, he was completely stunned. This child's Dharma Eye space is actually so beautiful. Bai Yu's Dharma Eye space is clearly black and white, while Bai Yao's has mountains and water, and animals running, a paradise, but there are also some killings between animals. Bai Yu felt it carefully, and found that these were not real, but just a manifestation of yang chakra and yin chakra under the effect of pupil power. It seems that Bai Yao should be mainly yang chakra, and the role of yin chakra is just to reconcile. No. Bai Yu found that when he explored the dark corners of Bai Yao's Dharma Eye space, his chakra and pupil power actually showed signs of erosion. Although it was very small, it only proved that Bai Yao's strength was not high at this time. When Bai Yao's strength increased, the effect of this erosion could not be underestimated. After thinking about it, Bai Yu has determined Bai Yu's ability, healing and erosion. Bai Yu couldn't help but imagine in his mind that when Bai Yu grew up, she would have a sweet smile on her face. With a wave of her tender hand, large groups of enemies were eroded to death by the yin attribute. With another wave of her little hand, large groups of injured comrades were healed by the yang attribute and began to fight against the enemy vigorously. Bai Yu retracted his chakra and pupil power and asked Bai Yu to close the Dharma Eye. He touched Bai Yu's head and didn't say anything. Bai Yu didn't say much either, but tilted her little head and looked at Bai Yu. Come on, Kia. Let daddy see your ability. Just open the Dharma Eye. Bai Yu said to Baiki with a smile. Baiki nodded, and the same Dharma Eye as Bai Yu appeared in his eyes. But the Dharma Eyes in Bai Yu and Baiki's eyes were not as pure as Bai Yu's. Bai Yu's Dharma Eye had evolved several times and was already the most perfect Dharma Eye, while Bai Yu and Baiki's Dharma Eyes were still in the initial stage. Bai Yu also carefully explored Baiki's body. Bai Yu was very pleased that the chakra was as strong as Bai Yu's or even stronger. Which parent in the world doesn't want their children to become successful? Bai Yu's smile disappeared when he saw Baiki's Dharma Eye space. Compared with Bai Yu's beautiful scenery and the idyllic Dharma Eye space, Baiki's Dharma Eye space is simply a hell on earth. Not really. A crescent moon was hanging high in the sky, and the whole space was filled with a dark atmosphere. A phantom that looked like a person, but not a person, came to Bai Yu. Who are you? Bai Yu said in a very majestic low voice. At this time, Bai Yu's heart sank. He didn't expect that Baiki's Dharma Eye space had an unknown thing. At this time, Bai Yu couldn't help but increase the output of chakra, pupil power, and mental power. This is his son's Dharma Eye space, and no losses allowed. At this time, two more of the same things appeared. But one looked weird, and the other was holding a single-edged longsword in his hand like a warrior. Who are you? How dare you be in my son's Dharma Eye space? I will take you in. Bai Yu thought, it looks like a spirit body. His son is still young. He doesn't know how to use the Dharma Eye space to refine. Then do it yourself. Bai Yu shouted with murderous intent. But after shouting, Bai Yu remembered that when he was unconscious before, it might be one of these three things, using him as a medium to find him. %@ these three things saw the Dharma Eye in Bai Yu's eyes and immediately said something. Bai Yu was stunned. It was still spiritual language. Master, calm down. Master, calm down. The three of us are the word spirits of the spirit world. We signed a contract with the master. After signing the contract with the master, except for the memory of the ability, all other memories disappeared. The three of us know that we are the word spirits of the spirit world, or through you, master. The three word spirits hurriedly said to Bai Yu one by one. Through me. Bai Yu asked puzzled. There were a few times when the master opened the Dharma Eye, and we could also feel the outside world. We happened to hear the adults talking to others about the spiritual world, and we also heard it, so we knew it. A word spirit said. Is that so? Then tell me what abilities you have. Bai Yu looked at the three word spirits, and they didn't seem to be lying. So he asked. My ability is to find people and things through opportunities. I can seal people's souls in the spiritual world and be swallowed by the wandering word spirits in the spiritual world. But I need the support of the master's pupil power, chakra, and mental power. We don't have the power ourselves, said the word spirit that was seen first. My ability is to transform. I can attach to the master's body and transform into different forms of objects, but I need the support of the master's power to maintain the toughness of the objects, said the weird word spirit. I can appear directly in the outside world and help the master fight, but I need the support of the master's power. As long as the master's power is enough, I can fight against the existence of the same level as the master, said the word spirit holding the long sword. Good guy. Baiki's Dharma Eye space is definitely based on yang attributes. Exclamation mark. Yang attributes exist as the power of the contract. I have to say, Bai Yu is jealous. My yin and yang powers are so balanced and powerful. Why don't I have such an amazing ability? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.